Irwin, Chicago. It's Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Baby, peace of mind. I said I'd get you with a fine tooth comb. I was so inside. There was something going on. You do something to me that I can't explain. Hold me closer and I feel no pain on my heart. We got something going on. Tender love is why.
You are listening to the Matt McGill Show. I am Kimberly Egonmwan filling in for Matt. The call-in number is 773-591-1690. And yes, you are listening to Dolly Parton with Kenny Rogers. Guys, if you had any consciousness, I mean, like if you were alive during the 80s, you listened to all kinds of music. This was playing in heavy rotation as popular music, and Dolly Parton is somebody we all knew to be bigger and brighter and shine bigger than life. Everything about the 80s was bigger than life, right? So we are celebrating her today because she did so much for so many people. Millions of children and families worldwide benefited from Dolly Parton's philanthropy. It wasn't just the fact that she sent everybody who worked at Dollywood and all of her companies, they all got to go to college for free. Anybody, no matter what you were doing there, you didn't have to be an exec. You could be doing any job. It's not the fact that Imagination Library gave books to children from the time they were born until they were 5 years old. Every month you got a book. Every month you got a book. And then you got a letter at the end saying, hey, we're stopping with the books because you're going to school now. We know you know how to read. You're interested in this, and there's going to be a library where you are, and we love you. She also, when she saw that, number one, her dad couldn't read, so that's one of the inspirations behind that. But when she saw the dismal high school graduation rate at her high school, she went in and said, hey, we're going to pair you guys up. And when we pair you up, if you both complete high school, you're going to get $500 cash each. Do you know that those numbers went from single digits through the roof? Joining me on the live line to talk about this and more. And guys, we've got a jam-packed schedule today. At 12:30, we'll be talking with Nekima Levy. You'll know her because I talked with her before. She was the person who started the first Target, the Target boycott. And now we're seeing the results of Target not having DEI, not having any Black people in those rooms. We're going to talk about that. And also, did you hear about the N-word march through the streets of Minneapolis? Well, that's her city. So we'll be talking about that. Then at 1 o'clock, we'll talk about Keshia Golden. Keshia Golden is a woman who was beaten by her boyfriend. She called the police over 50 times concerning that. And he was arrested at least 4 times. Finally got to the point she killed him. And she was looking at 20 years in prison. What did she decide to do? This is right here in Cook County. So we'll talk to them about what happened with her. And then also we'll talk with Karen Attia. Karen is the woman who is a journalist, very accomplished journalist, hired by the Washington Post, who was fired last year because she talked about how America and their preference for allowing white men to say and do whatever they want was the reason why someone killed Charlie Kirk. She lost her job. Well, she's got good news about what happened with her job and what Washington Post has to do now. It's going to be an exciting show, guys. 773-591-1690. Perry Small.
Hey, Kim.
Perry Small. The indomitable, beautiful, brilliant, vivacious Perry Small.
Hey, Kim, how are you?
I'm so glad that you're joining today.
Islands in the stream.
That is what we are.
No one in between.
Oh, excuse me.
I just love this.
Sail away with
I love
me.
Dolly.
I mean, she just had
and we will love each other.
bright personality. Very feminine. She was herself. Even with the wig and everything, she
you wouldn't catch her with a bonnet on her head.
Absolutely not. She was dolled up. So from what we're understanding, she was ill and she was still dolled up. I mean, everything done. That was just her. And I think.
Do you know when I fell in love with Dolly?
Tell me.
She says she started dressing like the whores in town. She liked the way they dressed. That was like my girl.
Perry, she said, her mom said, oh, she's like, I like how she looks. Her mother said, she's the town trash whore. And she said, so I immediately went out and decided I was going to look just like her. Oh my goodness. And so let's talk about like, she stayed relevant. I mean, I'm talking about the 80s and the 70s when they had all of the Dolly Parton. Perry, I was going to be Dolly Parton this Halloween. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but they used to have the Dolly Parton lookalike contest all the time. Urban Cowboy in the movie. It was a whole thing featured about the Dolly Parton lookalike. She said she entered one of the contests.
Little whorehouse in Texas.
That's right. And also there is a push to celebrate September 25th as 9/25. So we'll talk about that and more. 773-591-1690. Why is this particular passing just striking the hearts of so many people? This famous person who we didn't know. We'll talk about that and more right after this break for traffic and weather.
More coming up from Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
When you play the Illinois Lottery, you're generating funds that support education. No matter the prize, Illinois wins. Play all your favorite Illinois Lottery games today to help raise more for education. Be smart, play smart. Must be 18 years or older to play. Game odds available at IllinoisLottery.com.
Chicago, you know the song, Say My Name, Survivor, Independent Women, Bills, Bills, Bills. But before the global stages, the awards, and millions of records being sold, there was a vision. And behind that vision was Matthew Knowles, the legendary manager who helped transform a group of young women from Houston into one of the most successful female groups of all time. Now, Matthew Knowles takes you inside the extraordinary journey, delivering a fusion of storytelling and classical music for a musical experience you don't want to miss. This classical funk performance is taking place Saturday, August 29th at the Congress Hotel. For Destiny's Child, iconic and reimagined, narrated by the visionary himself, Matthew Knowles, and backed by a live 5-piece string ensemble. Hear the unmistakable harmonies, empowering lyrics, and legendary hits in an entirely new way while discovering the story behind the music. Upgrade to VIP premium seating and exclusive meet and greet with Matthew Knowles. VIP packages are limited. Say their name, hear their story, and enjoy the classical funk music experience narrated by Matthew Knowles.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
Attention everyone, Saturday, September 12th, join the 2026 Bridging the Gap Parade and Community Resource Fair. One legacy, many bridges. The parade begins at 10 a.m. at 25th Avenue and Washington Boulevard in Bellwood. At noon, enjoy resources, food, youth activities, and family fun at Proviso East High School, honoring the late Bishop Dr. Claude Porter, presented by Amazon and supported by our community sponsors and media partners. Visit plccabtgp.org.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Have you checked out WVON's digital streaming network, Vaughn TV? It's everywhere on Roku, Apple TV Plus, Amazon Fire, on the WVON app, and at VON.TV. Vaughn TV. It's cultural content on purpose.
Back to Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Working what a way to make living, getting by, no taking and no giving, because you your mind, they never give you credit, so no,
And we are back. Kim Egonmwan calling, speaking with Perry Small as well, talking about Dolly Parton. They're talking about Perry honoring her on 9/5. They said if we can have May the 4th be with you, if we can have what is the weed day? 420? I think that's what it is. Yeah. So
420.
So they're saying that if we can do all of that, then we can go ahead and we can also do this day to honor her. I think people are not really understanding, some people are not getting this nostalgia. And also she was relevant even today. And that's the thing that's so cool. She was very relevant today. We got to
see her as being polarizing at all.
No.
But yes, there are people like Ricky Schroeder from Silver Spoons who had said some vile things talking about her politics. He didn't like the fact that she supported trans people. She didn't that she supported COVID vaccines and something else. And so that just shows how small his mind is.
Yeah, but he was so proud of all of
that.
He was so proud of everything that he did that turned everybody off. I mean, he completely turned everyone off. You know what I'm saying? Like he was so MAGA.
But see, this brings you to the question. We're going to be talking to that journalist about what she said about Charlie Kirk.
Right.
And she lost her job.
She sure did.
And we were upset. Many people were upset. He's not our hero. You can't make people heroes, make people's heroes be their heroes. And they can't accept the same thing. People need to just accept people's opinions and be gracious about it. I thought what Hayden Pantier's mother said in the wake of her death was horrible.
What did she say?
Oh my.
What did she say?
She takes no responsibility for that young child actor's struggle. She took no responsibility. The girl had been, the child had started acting at 6 months. She had her first role. When I'm talking about Hayden Pantier, she was on One Life to Live when she was 4. I mean, she had commercial. She never stopped working, never.
Wow.
And
okay.
she was sexually assaulted and abused, which happens to a lot of young actors.
And then seeking out abusive relationships because they said she was with the guy who she had gotten away from, who was abusing her, beating her half to death, and that's in whose company she was in. I saw the mother. I didn't hear what she said, but I saw her, and she looked like there's some issues there. I will say that she looked tore up. She looked tore up, and not because her daughter died. I'm saying she looked like there were some challenges there.
I mean, she had lots of work, surgery done and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. There's so much
trying to get that Hollywood look.
Well, you know what? We actually. We're joined right now. I thought it was going to be a later discussion, Perry, but I think that this is perfect. You were just saying how important it is that we talk to Karen Attiah. Karen Attiah is a journalist, superstar journalist for the Washington Post. But last year, she ran into a few issues, and I'm sure you never even expected this. I want to thank you so much for joining us on WVON, Karen.
Oh, thank you all so much for having me.
So, tell us, number one, am I true? Where did you go to journalism school?
Actually, funny story. I never officially went to journalism school. I went to Northwestern undergrad and then Columbia grad school, both of which have amazing journalism schools. But I chose to study communications at Northwestern.
Got it. Got it. So you have a communications degree, but you found your way to Washington Post, which is one of the premier newspapers. I mean, we're talking about the Pentagon Papers. We're talking about all of that. You made your way there. You're working at Washington Post. And then all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk gets killed. What were your impressions when that happened?
To be honest, when Charlie Kirk was killed, I saw the news come in, and obviously it was a horribly graphic video. But honestly, if I'm remembering that day, there were actually 2 shootings that day. There was a shooting at a school in Colorado. So I was also seeing reports on that coming across my feed. And then in my mind, I also was still thinking about the Minnesota lawmakers who had been shot and killed
in their home. Right.
Yeah, in their home. So I was watching the news, but as a columnist and as someone in general who's interested in discourse and how people talk about the news, I was seeing a lot of rhetoric about this is not who we are. Political violence has no place here. And for me, seeing that graphic killing of Charlie Kirk, seeing that kids once again were being shot at, and then of course this massive story about, political assassinations in Minnesota, I was like, this is absolutely who America is. Yeah. And with that in mind, specifically, I was actually not so much thinking about Charlie Kirk. I was thinking about the shooter in the Melissa Hortman case, the Democratic lawmaker, and how their shooters, the killer was a white man. And I said on Blue Sky, part of what keeps America so violent, and again, in reference to Melissa Hortman's killer, part of what keeps America so violent is the insistence in empty care, goodness, and absolution for white men who espouse hatred and violence. So I was thinking about the bigger totality of political violence in America.
Let me ask you this. Were you shocked by some of the other articles that came out, or like I was reading Politico Playbook at that time, and it was like glowing reviews of Charlie Kirk and barely mentioning anything about, they like to say polarizing, but barely any mention of some of the other things that we know. Like he said, women were like the dumbest. I can't remember, don't have the brain processing power, all of those types of things. Did any of that happen before you went ahead and wrote? Because what I'm seeing is you're saying he was not even the top person on your mind at that time.
No, he wasn't. And of course, like I was seeing, and I was aware of Charlie Kirk and how he was, a bit of a provocateur, but not really. And I considered him in part of, the sort of far right kind of influencers or podcasters, but wasn't really that deeply tuned into him. However, I was aware that he was very pro Second Amendment. I was very aware that he claimed that the civil rights movement was a mistake, that Martin Luther King was not a good person, that he had said these things. And then, of course, talking about questioning Black pilots, stuff like that. So he specifically went after Black success and Black progress, which was all the more reason why I was like, okay, I'm absolutely not going to participate in lionizing this man. So
I think that's the perfect word.
Yeah, like why, especially as an objective, not just as a Black woman, but as even an objective journalist, anyone who espouses that sort of racist rhetoric, that needs to come into the equation of who they chose to present themselves as in public.
Well, you know what? I know Perry's got some questions. We got to take a quick break. On the other side of this break, I just want you to tell me how everything snowballed. You were fired and how, you got your job back. Do you really want your job back? The way Washington Post is right now. I mean, we think you can do some great things there, but those circumstances, I don't know. We're going to take your calls and more. 773-591-1690. We'll be right back.
Chicago, it's game time. This Saturday, August 29th, the South Side takes the field. The Chicago State Cougars kick off their historic inaugural season against the Roosevelt Lakers. Brick by brick, drive by drive, Cougar Nation is ready to shock the world. Catch every hit, every play, every touchdown live on Vaughn TV. Saturday at noon. Watch on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, the WVON app, or at Vaughn.tv. Cougar Nation, rise up.
Shaping up to be a nice day in Chicago as temperatures climb into the low 80s. Good afternoon. I'm Annette Flournoy, and here's what's happening. A fired up Father Michael Pfleger wrapped up a news conference earlier today. He was reinstated at St. Sabina after being completely cleared of sex abuse allegations. Pfleger says the investigation process itself was neither balanced nor fair.
Without a simple investigation, a background check, or even an interview, a priest can be removed and told to find a place to live and find a lawyer to represent you at your own expense. And when you do, your own lawyers still are very limited in the knowledge that they can get from the archdiocese. You are guilty until proven innocent.
Pfleger had been removed from the pulpit back in July and had to live away from the parish. The investigation found no evidence of abuse in the 1990 claims. The Archdiocese of Chicago's Independent Review Board investigated the allegations, as well as the Office of Child Protection and outside investigators. It was the fifth allegation made against the priest, and in each case was unfounded. Pfleger was cleared. Well, after 2 long, devastating weeks, power is finally being restored for most residents in Gary, Munster, and Portage, Indiana. Perry Williams has more on how these communities have been impacted.
NIPSCO executives say recent storms caused the worst damage in company history. A new storm front is in today's forecast, and Salvation Army officials say they will be standing by.
We are ready to support anyone who needs a safe place to stay, a hot meal, and emotional support.
Individuals impacted by recent storms may qualify for emergency state grants of up to $5,000 from the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. I'm Perry Williams.
The world is remembering the queen of country music. Dolly Parton's music, films, generosity, and kindness has touched millions.
I think people get too caught up in all the bad things that's going on in this world, and they're failing to look around that there's still a whole lot of good. And some of the good that people can do is to try to find all the good and all the things that they can do to help lift people up instead of tearing them down.
The American icon died yesterday. Now, for decades, she used her fortune to give back. Her charities include the Dollywood Foundation, where she gave millions to help children in her part of rural Tennessee achieve educational success. In 1995, she started the Imagination Library to promote childhood literacy in honor of her father, who she says could not read. She also was spontaneous and funny at times.
Okay, I'm asking you a question on behalf of myself and my school. I'm an editor of my school newspaper in Simi Valley. The question is, if you could tell teenagers of America today one thing, whether it be advice or something of support, what would it be?
I would say, act like it's raining every day and wear your rubbers.
And Dolly Parton also used the royalties from Whitney Houston's rendition of the iconic I Will Always Love You to invest in a strip mall in a predominantly Black neighborhood in Nashville. For Dolly, flags at the White House are now at half staff. Parton was 80 years old. That's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVON News Time, 1236.
Ada S. McKinley has a fantastic early learning and childcare program for kids from birth to age 5. Give your child a strong start. Quality childcare at 13 locations. Free and affordable options. Full days that are convenient for parents. Home-based services for expectant moms and their kids. And they welcome children with disabilities. Limited space available. Enroll now. Call 773-780-0050 or visit adasmckinley.org.
It's Rufus Williams.
The radio keeps our ear to the pavement so we know what's going on in the community. And I got to say, what and how you've been doing it as my frat brother, but more importantly, what VON does, you are the new Ebony Jet that keeps our community connected.
Well, thanks. That's a huge compliment.
Weekdays at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Outside of ourselves, there are people that also care about our health. They're called community health workers. They help to connect our communities to better health. This Saturday on the Community Health Focus Hour, host Carl West welcomes community health workers to discuss what they do, how they build trust, and how they connect individuals and families to vital health information, resources, and services. Listen live this Saturday on WVON and Facebook. The Community Health Focus Hour, Saturdays at 1 p.m., powered by the Urban Health Initiative of UChicago Medicine, at the forefront.
Back to Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
And we are back having a great conversation with Washington Post columnist, journalist, Karen Attiah. And Perry, I know you got some questions as a journalist. You want to jump in there?
You know what? I'm just so happy to speak with you, Karen. I used to read your byline. We used to have somebody on at least 3 times a week from the Washington Post. So it was very difficult for me as a journalist who had a relationship with all these people, see the change as the Trump administration came in, and how, you know, and with when the paper was bought, it was very nerve-wracking because I eat, sleep, and drink journalism my entire life. I love print, and I live for it. So, Karen, when you and Black Twitter and our WVON listeners and right-minded people put the brakes on that carefully curated narrative that was out there about who Charlie Kirk was, and then the narrative that was carefully curated kind of received an addendum from these different entities that said, and reminded him, this man was anti-Black, anti-women, anti-anything that was progress or
any religion besides Christianity,
or faith. Everything was dirt. And I had been following him because I'm retired now. So I was just sitting there just trying to keep up with the news because that's what I like, and keep up with who these podcasters are and, you know, what's going on. And this guy, a lot of people, when his death, a lot of people didn't know who he was. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs, oh my God, he's a lunatic. And, you know, he's got this trad wife and these views that fall right in line into this more national narrative that we were seeing coming from the White House as well as the far right. So, you know, you actually reminded these individuals of who Charlie Kirk really was. Next thing you know, you're out of your job. You're not the only one.
And how did that happen? How did that happen?
And my whole thing was like, what is what? You're unpatriotic. You're Satan. I mean, how did we get to this point? And as someone in the center of it, how did you get through it?
Yes.
You know, as I said, I mean, my commentary, was to an extent bigger than Charlie Kirk. I mean, it kind of encapsulates what you were saying. You know, I counted him, and this is where, you know, people got upset, but I counted him as someone who, at the very least, yes, espoused views, had views that encouraged hatred of Black people and hatred of Black women. Like, I don't think that's it's a reasonable conclusion to see his pattern a speech specifically about Black women. Now, people were like, well, he didn't talk just about Black women, just about Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson. And okay. Right.
But I did want to ask you, did in your column, that column, did you talk about how unaccomplished he was as a man?
Well, here's the thing.
No,
I never even got it.
You didn't have to go that low, but because he's very unaccomplished.
Right. I mean, I didn't even get the chance to write properly about Charlie Kirk. Like, that's the point. Like, I made these comments on Blue Sky about white men who espouse violence, and the Washington Post the next day, again, I didn't really get any backlash for that. So I went on about my day. And then the next day, the Washington Post sent me a termination letter via email.
The next day.
Like, not even barely 12 hours later. And they said, according to them, that I was guilty of gross misconduct because they claimed that I disparaged white men in talking about
First
Charlie.
Amendment. You work for the Washington Post. I'm just
this is
they are kidding, right?
Controversy.
But you do know they're not too bright, these people that they have in these executive suites right now. They're following a narrative that they don't even make sense.
Yes, it was, when I read it, it was as absurd as it was extreme and cruel. They claimed that, again, I was harming the Washington Post journalistic integrity. They said that I was putting my colleagues in danger by posting, and they only cited those 2 posts. So they said that my offense was, and I said this, I was like, refusing to strip my clothes and smear ashes on my face in performative mourning for a white man who espoused hatred and violence is not the same as wishing violence upon the man. Like, that's just fact.
That's right.
So they took those 2 posts and said that those 2 posts were evidence of gross misconduct and disparaging white men based on protected characteristics. And for that, I needed to go immediately. And I was fired. Now we learned through arbitration, they made the decision. Will Lewis, the former publisher, Adam O'Neill, the editorial page editor, and their HR person, they made that decision within 4 hours. Did not call me.
You wrote it so well. You wrote
that's my job.
I mean, that's what it's not necessarily, Karen. I don't think it's what you said. Is that a Black woman had the audacity, the vocabulary, and the audacity to write those words.
Yeah.
I mean, but I was not. There were so many other people saying. There's so many other white people saying very similar things.
I know.
But when I say them, then basically I was accused of being discriminatory against white men, and we had to go to arbitration to point out that I'm like, I did not say all white men. I did not even say some white men. I said white men who choose to engage in violence and hatred. That I don't believe all white men are violent and hateful people, but the Washington Post in their letter made it seem like, okay, do they believe that all white men are espouse hatred and violence? Like that should be a protected category. So in a weird, odd, twisted way, it was almost the Washington Post documenting, saying like, oh, we believe all white men are violent and hateful, and therefore they need to be protected. I'm like, what are y'all doing?
But not just that. So think about it. They said that because of your quote unquote actions, what you wrote endangered the other people who worked with you, meaning that they are taking for granted that they are violent and that they are hate-filled and that other people will be killed because of their actions. So think about it that way.
That's a good point. That's the first time I really thought about it that way.
I had to. So obviously you don't have a non-disclosure agreement. You don't have a non-disclosure agreement. You're able to start working again. You get all that good back pay. That's wonderful. But I know that you have been working outside doing so much. Why do you want to go back?
I know this is a question that everybody has. I mean, look, here's how I'm thinking about it on a Wednesday, 48 hours after the decision went public. The way that I've always seen my work, and I want to be very clear about there's jobs, there's having a job, and those things are important. We need pay, we need health care, but I've always seen journalism for me as a calling, like writing as a calling, as work, as frankly like a mission. And you mentioned that, yes, I've still been writing, even though I've been in this year-long battle, year-long exile, because I deeply believe in the power of the pen, and that's the work. And so for me, my stance is, the Guild, and I'm a proud Guild member.
Yes.
We've reiterated, saying that we fully expect to be able to go back to the work I was doing. In my head, that means being able to write, being able to publish, being able to speak freely. That is the work that I want to go to, that I'm willing to go back to. Anything less, anything else, we're going to have some issues.
Well, Karen, we're right there
now,
with you. We're going to be reading. We're excited that you're there, that you are using the platform that you were able to qualify for and do a wonderful job with until you were wrongly fired. We are so glad that someone is speaking on behalf of what's right. That is what's important. You are using the talent that you have to do that. And there is no greater work on this earth than what you're doing.
Okay, I'll subscribe back to the Washington Post again now that you're back.
Now that she's back.
Oh, well, again, stay tuned. We still got to, like I said, there's still some conversations.
No, we're going to see the first couple of columns. We'll see.
We'll see. Thank you so much for joining us, Karen. We really appreciate you, and people will be reading.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all your support.
Proud of you.
Proud
of you. Proud of you.
You're a boss. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break right now. 773-591-6090. When we come back, Nekima Levy Pound is going to be on with us, and we're going to have the conversation about what's going on in Target. Again, this is someone else who's doing the Lord's work, guys. Target, and also the N-word march that wanted to go through her streets in Minneapolis, and they said, We'll be right back after this break for traffic and weather.
More coming up from Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years guaranteed? Now through August 31st, get our best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years for new Xfinity customers. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Plus, it keeps you protected from online threats. And get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
When it comes to celebrating our Chicagoland communities, Wintrust is here for it. We're proud to support small businesses in our own backyards, like Lori Bryden Living, a custom shopping experience at 4452 South Cottage Grove Avenue in Chicago. Central Sonar, accessible mental health and healing services at 2645 West 51st Street in Chicago. Princeton Technical Services, building and maintaining modern infrastructure at 940 West Adams Street, Suite 305 in Chicago.
It's D.L. Hughley.
Who's hanging these kids? And one thing's for sure, black people are damn sure not hanging themselves.
Correct.
They're not going up in trees hanging themselves. And you know what? The silence of communities, the silence of governance, the silence of cities and municipalities is deafening.
Weekdays at 5 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up. Heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
Growing older doesn't mean slowing down. It means embracing a new chapter. Join Dr. LaDonna Ray for Senior Talks, featuring honest conversations about health, family, finances, community, and living your best life at every age. Get information you can use and inspiration you can carry with you. That's Senior Talks with Dr. LaDonna Ray, Saturdays at 7 a.m., only on WVON.
Back to Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
And we are back. You're listening to the Matt McGill Show here on WVON. The call-in number is 773-591-69. Wasn't that a great interview, Perry? Perry Small.
Oh, I enjoyed it very much. Really, she is, she embodies of what, when I was, going to journalism school and when I was a young journalist, writing, just how I was just willing to do anything to get the right story, make sure that it was perfect, that I didn't leave. I was really persnickety about stuff like that and then when you get accused of by someone that says, I never said that, I'm like, no, you did say that. And that's why a lot of, reporters carry, the tape recorders and stuff. I could remember entire paragraphs in my head. I didn't use a tape recorder, so I had to start using them eventually because it'll get you in trouble to protect yourself. But however, just to see how low they went, and she wasn't the only person. Lots of people lost their positions, jobs, and everything else for supporting Charlie Kirk and not supporting Charlie Kirk. Clearly the most polarizing person besides Donald Trump in a very long time.
You know what? We have got on the line someone who is our attorney on the ground. She is basically living in a city that I never knew people were going through all of this in little old Minneapolis. Had no idea the things that were happening until George Floyd put them on the map for not so good things. We've got Nekima Levy Armstrong on. She is an attorney, American attorney, and social justice activist. Guys, you're going to remember her because she was part of a 3-person team that started the Target boycott. We had her on before. Target boycott is still alive and well, contrary to what other people are saying. We're going to talk with her about that as well, because there is something that Target did that we know, had they had any real Black people in the room with any historical knowledge, would not have happened. So we'll talk about that. But something else even takes a little bit of priority over on that. There was some type of, I don't know if he's a white nationalist, if he's a Nazi, if he's a Klansman. I don't know what the word to call him. He's definitely a racist. And he wanted to come to their town and do something that was abominable. And Miss Attorney Armstrong, Levy Armstrong, said, nope, not going to happen. I want her to tell you all about it. Counselor, we want to thank you so much for being on the Matt McGill Show.
Thank you for having me.
Talk about the N-word march. Talk about the N-word march. I just can't even believe that I'm having to say that someone wanted to do that down the streets of Minneapolis.
Well, in Trump's America, at this point, we don't know what to expect, as far as people coming out of the woodworks and being much more bold and brazen when it comes to their views about who we are. So with regard to the N-word march, I would say about 3 weeks to a month ago, there was a post on Instagram that called for an N-word march by Jake Lang.
Jake Lang.
And so Jake Lang is his name. And he's a provocateur. He's been to several cities around the country, trying to taunt people, using racist tropes. He's gotten arrested multiple times. He's also one of the insurrectionists from January 6th, who spent 4 years in prison after January 6th, waiting for a trial. And then, of course, Donald Trump and his administration pardoned all those people. So that's why he's roaming free.
And that's why he feels emboldened.
Yes. So he put out this N-word march flyer, which was so egregious when I saw it. And it coincided with the hearing that had taken place earlier that day. I don't know if you all remember, but there was a white woman named Shiloh who had called a little black Somali boy who's autistic, a little child, called him the N-word in Duluth, Minnesota, in Rochester, Minnesota. And then she also called an adult male who was in the vicinity the N-word. So she raised $1 million, from right-wingers after this incident became public. And then she wound up going to court, and the judge found her guilty of a misdemeanor. So it was on that day that Jake Lang put this flyer up. And when I saw it, I said, I don't want this N-word flyer circulating through social media here in this community. And I definitely don't want white allies to feel comfortable sharing this flyer, thinking that this is about racial justice. So the first thing that I did was talk to a couple of other Black organizers, and we said we're going to put out a censored flyer to let people know, what this man is up to. And then I issued a call to action, posting that censored flyer, asking people only share a censored flyer.
And I saw that flyer.
And then, yes. And then saying, look, we need our white allies and accomplices basically to pull a response together, for when this happens, because this shouldn't just fall on the backs of Black organizers to respond to this, because white supremacy really is not our problem. This is a white people's problem.
It sure is.
We mind our own business.
The time. I post
yes, it's not our problem.
Racism is a white people problem.
Guys, if you're watching Facebook Live, there, our producer Sonia is sharing like the best videos and footage of this guy, the one that she is talking about, and just what he has done around the country. He is a provocateur. And I'm going to ask you, Sonia, was that ICE thing, was that AI or was that real? It was real. So they allowed him to put an ice sculpture of prosecution, full scale ice sculpture in front of the Capitol.
Was that AI or was that real? It was real. No, it wasn't his ice sculpture.
Oh.
So it was an approved ice sculpture that he came and destroyed or tried to destroy.
He destroyed it. Okay.
So he got arrested for that.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was a permitted ice sculpture in front of the Capitol that I think it said like prosecute ICE or something. But he went and smashed part of that ice sculpture. This was several months ago during the winter in the midst of Operation Metro Surge. And he came during that time as well. He came here on January 17th, to have another, racist march. It wasn't called the N-word, but still same playbook. And literally just like this time, he only had a handful of people with him. And there were thousands of people in the streets in opposition to him. And he wound up being chased out of Minneapolis then and being bashed over the head.
Well,
so
hold
he
on
learned
with
his lesson.
Hold on with me. They never do until violence gets involved. That's so sad. We're going to take a quick break. 773-591-1690, because we want to talk about what happened with that. And also we want to talk about Target. So we thank you so much, Counselor, for being on with us. We'll be right back after this break for news, traffic, and weather.
Good afternoon, Chicago. I'm Logan Page, and here are your news headlines. 2011 remain without power in Northwest Indiana. Father of Michael Flager speaks out. Judge lifts block on Trump mail voting rules. And genetically modified worms show promise against COVID-19. National news from the Black Information Network is up next on Chicago's only urban talk radio station, 1690 AM, WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
I'm Mike Stevens on your home for Black News First, the Black Information Network. Here's your top headlines this hour. Preparations are being made to observe Hurricane Katrina's 21st anniversary, in which many Black people died and were displaced. A new poll shows Democrats are nearly twice as likely as Republicans to say race relations in the country have gotten worse in the last decade. And Target says it has stopped selling a Halloween costume that was called offensive to Black people. Well, a Black Florida woman is being called a hero by police and the woman she helped.
I was like, let me just mind my business because I'm going to keep going. So I kept going. That's when the voice came to me, like, turn around. I'm like, no, I'm not going to turn around. They ain't got nothing to do with me.
But 33-year-old Simone did turn her car around after she saw a couple arguing on the side of the road one night, and she's now glad she did. This is why she did it and what happened next.
I think it was the Lord, to be honest. He was like, turn around, like, she needs you. And within that split second, he had her on the ground, choking her. So as I'm busting the I'm like, hey, let her go. Turn her loose. So he let her go. She got up. She ran to me crying, frantically, like, he's trying to kill me, gasping for air.
Simone called police and they arrested the suspect, who had spent 17 years in prison, was on probation, and had a knife on him. The victim has choke marks around her neck, but she is alive and thankful for Simone, who saw something and said something. A Black South Florida law enforcement officer finds himself on the other side of the law. 27-year-old Deputy Isaiah Williams has been charged with domestic battery, and he appeared before a judge on Tuesday. He's accused of simple battery, domestic battery by strangulation, and tampering with evidence. During his court appearance, a judge set Williams' bond at $70,000, and he has to give up his weapon. Well, it's not clear how many Black people this directly impacts, but because renters are often Black, there may be many, especially in the largely Black Houston area. A federal judge has given initial approval to settlements worth nearly $360 million for a lawsuit accusing dozens of various property management companies of jacking up rental prices nationwide. The lawsuit accuses the property management companies of conspiring to fix and inflate rental prices across the country and exchanging competitively sensitive pricing and leasing information, violating federal and state antitrust laws. The settling defendants deny any wrongdoing. And the Free Urban Film Festival is coming back to Miami. Black filmmaker Shanna Johnson spoke to NBC Miami Television.
Urban Film Festival allows us indie filmmakers to show our films in the most authentic way. And I think, like, when it comes to mainstream media, a lot of stuff gets watered down, so to speak. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity of the Urban Film Festival for allowing a space for films like ours, films that deserve to be seen by audiences who need them.
The Urban Film Festival is a free 3-day event taking place Labor Day weekend in the historic Black community of Overtown and in downtown Miami. I'm Mike Stevens on your home for Black News First, the Black Information Network.
Chicago, you know the song, Say My Name, Survivor, Independent Women, Bills, Bills, Bills. But before the global stages, the awards, and millions of records being sold, there was a vision. And behind that vision was Matthew Knowles, the legendary manager who helped transform a group of young women from Houston into one of the most successful female groups of all time. Now, Matthew Knowles takes you inside the extraordinary journey, delivering a fusion of storytelling and classical music for a musical experience you don't want to miss. This classical funk performance is taking place Saturday, August 29th at the Congress Hotel. For Destiny's Child, iconic and reimagined, narrated by the visionary himself, Matthew Knowles, and backed by a live 5-piece string ensemble. Hear the unmistakable harmonies, empowering lyrics, and legendary hits in an entirely new way while discovering the story behind the music. Upgrade to VIP premium seating and exclusive meet and greet with Matthew Knowles. VIP packages are limited, Say their name, hear their story, and enjoy the classical funk music experience narrated by Matthew Knoll.
What happens when WVON's strongest voices stop talking to you and start challenging each other? Find out this Thursday afternoon during a special WVON host roundtable featuring Rufus Williams, Cleopatra Draper, Matt McGill, LaDonna Ray, and Ken Duncan. These aren't headlines. These are issues affecting your family, your neighborhood, your paycheck, your vote, and your future. Expect fierce conversation about crime and safety, politics and power, education, the economy, City Hall, Springfield, Washington, and the decisions shaping Black Chicago. There will be agreement and there will be disagreement. There will be tough questions, uncomfortable truths, and opinions that may surprise you. Because at WVON, we don't run from the conversation. We run straight into it. 5 respected hosts, 1 table, 0 holding back. Don't miss this special WVON host roundtable Thursday afternoon, only on WVON 1690 AM, The Talk of Chicago.
Attention everyone, Saturday, September 12th, join the 2026 Bridging the Gap Parade and Community Resource Fair. One legacy, many bridges. The parade begins at 10 a.m. at 25th Avenue and Washington Boulevard in Bellwood. At noon, enjoy resources, food, youth activities, and family fun at Proviso East High School, honoring the late Bishop Dr. Claude Porter, presented by Amazon and supported by our community sponsors and media partners. Visit plccabtgp.org.
Hey everybody, this is Kendall Moore, The Kendall Moore Show, getting you from your work week to your weekend each and every Friday night from 6 until 9 p.m. I get you from your work week to your weekend. Church. Tabernacle.
Kendall Moore, radio for the next generation on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON. Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Sorry, Miss Jackson.
You are listening to the Matt McGill Show here on WVON 1690 AM. I'm Kimberly Egonmwan, filling in along with Perry Small, and we are having a conversation with Nekima Levy Armstrong. She is an attorney out of Minneapolis. She was one of the people who started the Target boycott, which has not ended. And also, she is just letting us know everything that's going on in Minneapolis. You just mentioned that someone had the nerve and audacity in this current climate to be bold enough to say he wanted to have the N-word march. Saying N-word, because I'm not going to give them the benefit of just continually disrespecting us. And how did that go for him?
Well, he showed up with himself and a few people and a security team who looked like ICE. And everybody else who was there were counter protesters. And so... and
wasn't it like on a flatbed? He had a flatbed?
Yeah, he was on a flatbed. And he had a sign that said, "I love Black people, but I hate N-words." And then he had a makeshift cross. And then he had 2 Black people with him. He had one young Black man and an older Black man who was dressed like in a military vet costume. And, and I guess they were there to protect him, but his security actually looked like ICE. So the next thing you know, we have our Minneapolis police officers out there in riot gear. They have put barricades up, but the people put some pressure on Jake Lang, by, while surrounding his vehicle, by calling out the things that he was saying that were wrong. And then out of nowhere, here comes Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Okay, he was dressed in full costume from the mask all the way down. He had some J's on, I believe, some red J's, and then he was like standing up on the back.
He was wailing. He was
Yes,
wailing.
I mean, he got into that costume. No lie. I mean, he could have literally been Spider-Man. But he
So what did
jumped
he
in the
do?
back of that flatbed, and he wound up punching Jacob Lang in the face multiple times. It looked like you were watching a movie.
But he didn't get lay hands on the two black men on there, did he?
No,
I'm just trying to be
no.
thorough.
He didn't lay hands on them, but he really came for Jake Lang, apparently, because he punched him multiple times in the face, and Jake Lang's security wasn't able to stop him. And then he tried to snatch the sign from Jake Lang. He almost had that sign and had the N-word on it, but the police pushed him back. So we felt like the police were, protecting Jake Lang, and we actually held a press conference a couple days ago to call out the role of the Minneapolis police, because we're like, if you guys can show up looking like an escort to Jake Lang, where were you during Operation Metro Surge when ICE was brutalizing the community?
How about also you're
standing as a
there?
buffer?
You are protecting someone this is beyond freedom of speech. This is inciting violence. These are hate words. These are words that come with throwing fists. You know,
yes.
I was very interested in asking Counselor, what is life like living in Minneapolis? When I used to think of Minneapolis, I used to think that's where people from Chicago used to go to get better welfare benefits. That's what I knew about Minneapolis.
And interracial relationships.
Right, and that's it.
Yeah.
No relationship other than I knew that there were some people that would do that.
Yeah.
What is life like in Minneapolis right now? I mean, just the fact that you have white people walking up to children, an autistic black child, calling them the N-word. What is it like for black people or people of black people of African descent? What is it like, life like? You've got Target, there, you're headquartered there. Mm-hmm. You've got other big corporations, Fortune 500s. What is life like?
That's a
there?
Great question.
You had George Floyd. Then after George Floyd, you had the Target boycott, and now you've got this Trump administration with ICE. I don't think I'd want to live in Minneapolis.
Well, there's a lot going on here, but it's honestly one of the best places to live in the country. I mean, we are one of the most effective cities for activism, I would say, in the country, if not the world.
Yeah.
Because people took notice with George Floyd, but our movement has started many years before. I mean, the first time we took to the streets en masse was after the killing of Trayvon Martin. And then after Mike Brown was killed in Ferguson. Yeah, that's when our Black Lives Matter movement began. And that's when we started protesting, taking to the streets and shutting things down. But in terms of my personal understanding of the city, I moved to the Twin Cities in 2003 when I became a law professor at the University of St. Thomas in Minneapolis. And I was told at the time, this is such a progressive city. Our distressed communities aren't so distressed. And I believed that for my first couple of years. But once I started reading the Black newspapers, that's when I saw the truth. You know, and this is the case for many progressive cities around the country where there is this, view that, this place is wonderful. You can ride your bikes, down the street and go to the lake. But when you peel back the curtain and you look at Black life, in those cities, especially for people who've been here for decades or who grew up here, it's not the same. What I started saying in 2005 was, this is the Jim Crow North.
The Jim Crow North.
So I started working on civil rights issues then, including looking at the need for police accountability and using, my position at the law school to have my law students.
Didn't you guys get that consent decree?
Say it again?
Didn't you get that consent decree?
For the police
department?
Got
it through the Department of Human Rights, which Minneapolis Police is still under. There was also a federal consent decree, which Donald Trump's administration eliminated once he took office again. So there is still a consent decree, but that was hard won over many years up until George Floyd. right?
Okay.
Like we literally, we're like the, ground zero on civil rights issues, and we have been for a very long time. The rest of the country didn't know what was going on here.
That's it.
We have many, examples. Remember Philando Castile?
Yes.
When he was killed, we fought for justice for Philando Castile, 21-day occupation outside the governor's mansion. The same with Jamar Clark, killed in 2015. We had an 18-day occupation outside the police precinct. That was in the freezing cold, in the midst of blizzards, people being shot by rubber bullets. But we lit fires in the street and pitched tents, and people were out there for 18 days.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. So with Operation Metro Surge, when you see people marching in the freezing cold, there's a precedent for that. Because that's who we've been. The rest of the country just didn't know.
We just didn't know
what's been going on here with this fight for justice.
773-591-1690. We're going to take a quick break, and I want to shift gears because it's similar to what Perry said. You guys had a commercial for Minnesota. It was a genius commercial. It was one black woman, who dressed up in a bunch of different uniforms, different pioneer dress, sports things. It was like, we loved it at our house. And I'm like, they are promoting black women. They're promoting tourism, but they forgot the Sambo costume. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be right back with Nekima Levy Armstrong to talk about Target. Guys, you all can write on Facebook about, am I calling the boycott never ended? I haven't been in a Target in I don't know how long. If you're still going there, then you're a fool. 773-591-1690. We'll be right back.
More coming up from Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
It's Rufus Williams. The thrill of summer is finally here, which also means it'll be over before we know it. This fall, the Rufus Williams Travel Club is heading to Charleston, South Carolina, October 8th through the 12th. Join me as we experience the beauty, the brilliance, and the culture of one of America's most captivating cities. We'll enjoy the charm of the Lowcountry, breathtaking scenery, incredible cuisine, and the rich African-American history of Charleston. There will also be a few special surprises designed just for our group. So whether you're traveling alone, with family, or with friends, you'll be welcomed into an unforgettable experience filled with great people and great memories. Space is limited, and the best rates are right now. Simply go to WVON.com, click on the Rufus Williams Travel Club banner, and reserve your space. Advantage International is the official travel partner of the Rufus Williams Travel Club. Charleston, South Carolina, October 8th through the 12th. Travel with people, travel with purpose, travel with us.
So last time we talked about you flossing more often. How's that going?
Haven't done it once, but I have been saving money on a regular basis.
What? Why?
Because BMO gives me a cash reward every month I save.
I was talking about flossing.
Flossing schmossing. A savings builder account rewards my good saving habits. What does flossing get me? Nothing.
Point taken, but you do get something for not flossing.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Cavities. Open, please.
BMO. Conditions apply. Visit BMO.com/save to learn more. Accounts are subject to approval and are provided in the United States by BMO Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
After graduating TTI, I got my CNA license, and an organization called Skills of Chicago helped me get into Northwestern Medicine.
Northwestern Medicine has created a pipeline to medical education and jobs in healthcare for our neighboring communities. It's no wonder we're the third largest private employer in Illinois.
It's a place where it's like a flower. I can just see myself grow.
Because we treat our community the same way we treat our patients. Better.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Thursday mornings bring a new spotlight for Chicago's small business community. Catch Fifth Third Bank's Small Business Amplified on the Rufus Williams Show. Every other week, we feature a local business sharing real stories, real challenges, and real wins from entrepreneurs shaping our neighborhoods. With support from Fifth Third Bank, these business owners are turning obstacles into opportunity through trusted guidance, connections, and resources built for them. If you're building something, this is your space to listen, learn, and be inspired. Every other Thursday at 8:30 a.m., Fifth Third Bank is here, empowering Chicago's small businesses and the communities they serve.
Back to Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever Spider-Man spins a web any size. Can't you see? Just like lights, look out. Here comes a Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Can he sing from a thread? Take a look over it.
And we are back. Thank you for that, Matt. Oh my goodness. That is a throwback. This is just, I love it when we have producers who catch the mood. We are talking with attorney Nekima Levy Armstrong, and we're talking about Target. We still have a boycott going with Target. Is that correct, counselor?
Absolutely. The boycott never ended. And we said from the beginning when we announced the boycott at the end of January 2025, that saying it was going to begin on February 1st to coincide with the start of Black History Month, that it was indefinite unless and until Target reversed course on its decision to roll back DEI, and Target needs to account for the $2.1 billion that they pledged to the Black community after George Floyd was killed. You know, they had 4 things that they were going to focus on, including employee retention and recruitment for Black folks, putting more Black brands on the shelves, improving the Black customer shopping experience, and improving their diversity supply chain.
Yeah.
So we want to see evidence of that $2.1 billion pledge. And for those wondering why Target would make a pledge like that, well, they're headquartered here in Minneapolis.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
That's their global
Do you ever catch
headquarters.
any Black people walking into Target in Minneapolis?
I'm sure that there are. I haven't seen them because
Some people
I'm
are proud.
away from Target.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't understand this. I mean, and I'm sorry, I don't want to sound sophomoric about this.
Yeah.
Because this was important to me when you all fought this boycott. So I didn't understand where Reverend Jamal Bryant came in and said it's over.
That's right.
And I said, well, I didn't hear that it was over.
From the people who
this
count?
looks like a little flex grab to me. And I have respect for Reverend Bryant, but you never said it. And I didn't hear a lot of you, from you, counselor, in the wake of what Jamal Bryant said. When he
I
called it off.
definitely.
She was
popped out.
everywhere.
Oh, trust me.
She came
I
here
popped
and
out
talked
after
about
that.
it. Yeah.
I don't have respect for Jamal Bryant. I'm sorry. I'm also an ordained reverend.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
like
along
people
with
like
being
you.
an activist and a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, no, I don't have respect for Jamal Bryant, Nina Turner, or Tamika Mallory. Because
my.
right from the beginning, when they approached us after knowing we were going to launch this boycott, they claimed they wanted to set up a national coalition in support of our work. But instead, right away, they began trying to co-opt the work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and literally within a week of us launching the National Target boycott, Jamal Bryant launched a Target fast. And I raised the question, well, what is a Target fast?
Right.
You know, Pete, this is going to cause confusion.
Right.
And he and Tamika acted as if, you know, what I was saying wasn't true. But I'm like, I know what I see happening. So that's how all of that went down. But he
apologized.
They demonstrated exactly why it was problematic behavior. Because for them to create all this confusion when the boycott was going perfectly well.
Right.
Well,
right.
you know
but that's what happens sometimes.
But you came out on top on this one, because he had to come back with his tail between his legs and apologize and say he got a lot of backlash from this.
He did.
He did, and he deserved every ounce of it. And so did
I would
Roland
agree
Martin.
100%.
Because when I went on his show, I had to challenge him as well.
Yeah,
But
Roland
this is
Martin
what
set it up
happens.
for him. He set it up for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is what happens when you have grassroots activists
Mm-hmm.
who are community driven, not seeking a spotlight, just organizing and focused.
Yes.
You can have these big name national people try to
Come on
usurp
now.
your work because they have a larger platform. They have a publicist. They have a bigger following.
That's
so
right.
it becomes celebrity activists.
And then people take for
You know?
granted that they are the real voice of the people when the people have already been doing the work. Look, we only have a couple more minutes, but this is why it was so dangerous what he did with going back on that whole thing about Target, DEI, saying the fast was over. Target had to take a Sambo costume down. And I want you to talk about what their excuse was and what they said, and also what is going to happen from here on out now.
Okay.
Well, I got to give credit to Black women, you know, for pointing out this Sambo costume and beginning to, you know, raise the awareness, you know, through social media about this. And so many people got involved with talking about Target and this on social media that Target was forced to finally apologize for something. And so they said, we're not sure how this happened. We got it wrong. It was a very flimsy apology. And people are pointing out how many layers of approval did this costume have to go through for it to wind up on Target's website?
You don't have
as an item
any
for sale?
CEOs. You do not have Black people any longer in the C-suites, in the E-suites, at these boutique advertising and marketing firms who are all lily white, and everybody is 12.
Yeah.
So
but
you
it shows
need
you
that.
why.
So you need that.
Yep.
So you need that when you have if this is the reality we live in. Then you
That's why
have
you
to
need
have
diversity,
people
equity,
in
and inclusion.
place.
Well, how about
Checks
this?
and balances.
How
Yes.
about this? How about this? First of all, before they even did that, I saw that the share prices continue to tank. But now that they did it, their stock fell nearly 4% following a backlash and subsequent removal of an offensive minstrel character type Halloween costume from its shelves. Why won't they just do what they're supposed to do? Why can't they? Why keep dancing
They're
around
arrogant.
and figuring?
They are arrogant. It's mostly white men who are their shareholders and on their board. And I personally, when we got midway through the first year of the boycott, I was thinking, you know what? Target is intentional in what it's doing. This is not a mistake.
Absolutely.
Target has made the decision that they don't care about their Black customers. That is what I felt. I'm like, this is MAGA Target as far as I'm concerned. Even as some Black people, continue to defend them and shop there, I'm like, they are not the same.
They're
they're
not.
they're
The quality is the quality that Black women like, the quality of merchandise that Black women like. It's not there at Target anymore.
It's not.
No,
we used to call it Target.
I'm talking Black women went to Target because they could wear their clothing to work.
Yeah.
And because it looked professional and that it was well made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That is a very good point.
It's Temu now.
Yeah.
It's Temu and Shine.
And look at all that
It
money that
smells
they
like
got back
formaldehyde.
Well,
from the
Counselor, we thank you so much for coming on with us today. I will drop a little bug in your ear. Jamal Bryant is coming on tomorrow during the midday show. So we'll see if
he knows that I don't have any respect.
We'll see if our news director
So-
splices a little bit of that fire in there so it gives him something to think about. Or if the host will ask him, do you see what just happened with Target? Maybe we should have
And
supported
then ask him, why did he sell out and try to cancel the
I love the
boycott? He's going to
questions.
say, it was the fast. No, you knew what you were doing, bro.
Okay, well, we'll see what they do.
The point is, the boycott continues. Please find other places to shop to the people who are listening.
And
It
Black
is
people,
working.
stop
It's
letting your
working.
kids be in ads that are flagrantly racist. That looks like a
Yes.
Black kid wearing that, and somebody's mama or daddy didn't have any sense. Just like the Black people who were on
Unless
the
it was AI. Was it a real boy?
flatbed.
We don't know. Is
You
it
think
a
maybe
real
it's
Black
just
boy,
AI?
or was it AI?
I don't know, because a few years ago there was another incident where a little Black boy was wearing a sweater saying one of the monkeys in the yard or something, and his mom agreed with it. she supported it. So that's why I'm
sad.
saying it. That's why I'm saying it that way. Attorney, we thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank y'all for having me.
Pleasure to meet
Appreciate
you.
It's so nice to have
Pleasure
you
to
on
meet
again.
you as well.
All right, 773-591-6090. Perry, I told you the show was going to be fire. When we come back, we're going to talk about Keshia Golden and the plea deal that she had to make to try and stay out of prison for being an abused woman. We'll talk about that and more right after this break for news, traffic, and weather.
Good afternoon, Chicago. You've made it halfway through the week. I'm Logan Page, and here it's happening in your local and national news. More than 2,000 Northwest Indiana residents remain without power as crews work to restore electricity. NIPSCO executives say recent storms caused the worst damage in company history. A new storm front is in 2 days' forecast, and Salvation Army officials say they will be standing by. Meanwhile, individuals impacted by recent storms may qualify for emergency state grants of up to $5,000 from the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. In other news, Father Michael Flager speaks out to the mainstream for the first time since his reinstatement at St. Sabina Church. He came to WVON first yesterday. Annette Flournoy has more on today's press conference.
It was a fired-up Father Michael Flager surrounded by former state Senator Jackie Collins, Senator Willie Preston, and other city, state, and community leaders. Flager saying the investigation process was neither balanced nor fair.
Without a simple investigation, a background check, or even an interview, a priest can be removed and told to find a place to live and find a lawyer to represent you at your own expense. You are guilty until proven innocent.
He had been removed from the pulpit back in July and had to live away from the parish. The investigation found no evidence of abuse in the 1990 claims. It was the 5th allegation made against the priest, and each case, Flager was cleared. Annette Flournoy, Our News Now, 1690 WVON.
In other news, a federal judge in Boston lifted a nationwide block on President Trump's executive order concerning mail-in voting. The decision followed the Supreme Court's recent action, allowing the order to take effect while legal challenges continue. The order directs agencies to identify eligible U.S. citizen voters and calls for the Postal Service to establish uniform mail voting standards. The issue comes as the 2026 midterm elections approach. And scientists at George Washington University genetically modified parasitic worms in mice to produce virus-fighting proteins. By adding llama genes, the worms release antibodies into the mice's bloodstream that neutralize an early coronavirus strain in lab tests. The technique worked across 9 generations of mice. Researchers say it is still years from home human testing, but could eventually help treat viral infections and chronic diseases. I'm Logan Page, and that's what's happening in your news now on WVON 1690 AM.
This August, feed your mind and challenge your perspective on Vaughn TV. See Wronged, the Maurice Carter story, a compelling documentary that examines the devastating impact of wrongful conviction and one family's relentless fight to restore justice and reclaim a legacy.
Wrongful convictions are America's dirty little secret. Our justice system does not want anyone to know that this is happening. Our prisons are filled with people that were sent to prison for crimes they didn't commit, and science later proved they didn't.
Then watch Bound and Woven, where Rufus Williams sits down with authors, historians, and changemakers for powerful conversations exploring Black history, culture, and the ideas shaping our future. In August, discover programming that informs, inspires, and transforms, only on Vaughn TV. Watch on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, the WVON app, or at VON.TV. Vaughn TV, for the culture, by the culture.
It's DL Hughley.
Who's hanging these kids? And one thing's for sure, Black people are damn sure not hanging themselves.
Correct.
They're not going up in trees hanging themselves. And you know what? The silence of communities, the silence of governance, the silence of cities and municipalities is deafening.
Weekdays at 5 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
From the South Side, a new force is rising. The Chicago State University Cougars, Chicago's only NCAA Division I football team, are ready to take the field and shock the world. WVON and Vaughn TV are proud to be the exclusive media home of the Cougars historic inaugural season, bringing you every game live, brick by brick, hit by hit. A new legacy will be built. Southside strong, Cougar Nation proud. Stay tuned for game announcements, exclusive interviews, and behind-the-scenes features, because this is more than a season. This is history in the making. The Chicago State Cougars are coming to WVON and Vaughn TV.
Greetings, WVON family. It's your brother and friend, Bomani Obadeli of the Activist Hour. Join me on Saturday mornings as we discuss a holistic and public health approach to addressing community violence. We will also be discussing ways that we can create a safe, peaceful, economically thriving, and healthy communities. Join me Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. on WVON for the Activist Hour.
Back to Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
You want me to stay out here around today to be available for you to see. I'm about to go, and then you'll know me to stay. I got to be me.
And we are back. Perry Small and I here on the Matt McGill Show. Perry, it's so funny. You said something that really was so true. Target is lagging. They're admitting it. So if they're admitting that they're lagging when it comes to home and apparel, and that's what we used to go to the store for. Home and
for
apparel.
home goods and apparel, Black women, and it was quality stuff.
Quality stuff.
I would also go there to pick up the Harry Potter books because there would never be there wouldn't be lines on 87th Street to get the Harry Potter books.
Right. Well, now you can go and get your child a Sambo costume, and guess what? It glows in the dark, so they can go straight from school to do soft shoe on the stage.
That was a good point that the counselor made. We don't know if that was AI or if that was a child.
It's possible, but I just know that Black parents have done stranger things.
In the past, they think it's okay.
They think it's okay. That's it. We're going to take one call.
I can tell you this. I was on billboards. I used to do a lot of ads as a child in catalogs, and my mother and father, they were very discerning.
I would love to see some of those ads, little Perry Small.
Very discerning about those things. Oh, and before we continue the conversation, you know, this is the 71st anniversary of Emmett Till's murder, and they're having a big weekend. So you can go to the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation, go to Eventbrite and participate. And I am so excited about this town hall meeting with the mayor today, and with Matt McGill. And then Mary Ahern.
They're going to be giving me something so that I can give all the information on that. I just don't have it right now, but that's a big deal. And we're going live. We're going live with that. Let's take Devin real quick. Devin, you're on VON.
Hey, Kim. Hey, Perry. Hey. Welcome back. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Really quick about the Target boycott. Pastor Bryant was really bogus on kind of going against the Black women. The Black women had the Target thing situated. Y'all was doing y'all thing. Everything was cool. They came in and hijacked it. Every time the grassroots gets movement, there's always a hijacking of the movement. And we have to start calling that stuff out, because it's not fair for the sisters to stand up and then somebody comes and kind of undercuts them. That's not cool, because it causes confusion in the community. And that's exactly what we're dealing with, because now when they come back with the Sambo costume, don't nobody know how to get on code and stay on the same page.
That's so true.
When Pastor Brian comes and talks,
you all call in.
Then exactly. And then, because he has to be accountable for that.
Well, he did have, I will say this, and I want to thank you for your call. He had 1 or 2 Black women helping him with that. So they always get one of us to help. So then you can't say that he did anything to Black women. You see what I'm saying? Kind of like on the flatbed, they had the Black men on there. So you could say, oh, well, they're in favor of it. So, you know, it's all right. So I don't know. Perry, one woman did, one of our online, someone who's watching on Facebook, Jerry Holiday, said that she was born and raised in Chicago, moved to Minnesota 8 years ago to be with her family and grandchildren. It's a great place to live. Pleasant people. Nice. She feels free. She really liked when she
Right.
heard Governor Walz say that they are the tale of one city, probably two cities, I don't know. Unlike the Chicago being the tale of two cities. So she meant what she said. And she never met the kind of people in Chicago like Minnesota. So she's saying, give it a chance. They moved there 33 years ago.
I just said I didn't know anything about Minneapolis.
That's right. You didn't put it
I-
down.
The Twin Cities. I
didn't put it
told you
down.
what I knew of Minneapolis. It was an honest response of what of my experience with a state I had never been to.
That's so true. All right, we're going to move on now. We want to talk about something that happened nearly 4 years ago. There was a fatal stabbing during a domestic violence confrontation, and Keshia Golden has now pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter in the death of her boyfriend, Calvin Sidney. Now, the incident happened in October of 2022. They held a baby shower, so she was heavily pregnant. She was 8 months pregnant. Sidney had a history of abusing her, including an incident in September 2022 when he pushed her down a flight of stairs. From what I understand, the police have been called on him over 50 times, and he had been arrested several times. After she stabbed him, and she said in self-defense he did die. It probably struck an artery. And
Yeah,
she
probably.
had been originally charged with first-degree murder right here in Cook County, even with all of those
your
facts.
state's attorney did that.
Yeah, that's where we want to get to.
That's who you voted for.
Well, somebody voted for her, and that she maintained she acted in self-defense. So she was between a rock and a hard place. She has a child she's trying to raise. So she took the plea deal. And joining us on the live line, because there was a great movement. That's how I found out about it.
It was a
is
big movement.
Holly
It was a
Craig
huge-
of Moms United Against Violence and Incarceration. She was very involved in this case as an advocate for Keshia, and also Sierra Bartlett, a mitigation specialist at the law office of the Cook County Public Defender. Ladies, we want to thank you both for joining me and Perry Small here on the Matt McGill Show. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So,
yeah, thanks for having us.
When did this case first come on your radar? And either one of you can probably Sierra.
I got assigned to this case about a year and a half after the incident happened. A lot of times, with mitigation specialists in our office, there's only so many of us. So as things kind of get moving with a case, then we get assigned. But Cayenne put in the request, and it ended up with me. And she said, there is a really powerful story here, and this is absolutely overcharged, and we need to be able to tell the story to get this dismissed, because this is an absolute trap.
So when you get assigned as a mitigation specialist, does that mean that the state's attorney is trying to make a deal, or is at least open? Because I know you can't just be a mitigation specialist on absolutely every criminal case that comes through the public defender's office.
Yeah, I wish I could, though.
Okay.
If I had the time, I would. I think every client deserves mitigation. But no, it's not always that they're looking to make a deal. Sometimes they do ask for mitigation, like, hey, we can, give you a better plea offer. Can you get us some mitigation? Sometimes we just bring it to them. And sometimes the mitigation ends up in a 402 conference with the judge.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes, if a client does go to trial, if they're unfortunately found guilty, mitigation is used at the sentencing part. So there's a lot of different aspects that mitigation gets used at. So it kind of is fluid and varies depending on where the case is.
So, Holly, when did you get involved with this? Was it before we got to the point of mitigation? There was a groundswell of support for this woman who says that she suffered a lot of domestic violence at the hands of this man.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, actually. It was over a year ago. I know it's actually Keenan, one of the attorneys, and Sierra had reached out to me about it. And initially, I was really overwhelmed supporting other folks criminalized. Similarly, Shanice Page, for example, and a few other cases that aren't so public facing. But, Sierra reached out to me a couple of times, and I learned more about the case and realized that, this was something that we could probably do something about. We should grow some support around. And most significantly, Keshia was someone who was very open to sharing her story publicly, which is really a huge part of this. In order to really grow public support for someone, that person really has to be willing, bravely and generously so, to really share their story and to talk about, the worst day of their lives to strangers.
Yeah, that's really hard. So as time went on with this case, we know that obviously there was no let up as far as trying to charge her with first-degree murder. What were the state's attorney's arguments to say, even though there's evidence that she was abused and evidence that even that day she was being abused, what were the state's attorney's arguments for why this needed to be a full-blown murder case?
I don't think they actually had even thought about it, to be honest. They have so many cases, and I don't think it was until we started making this big ask and making some noise that they even took time to focus and actually see what it's about. I mean, there's so many cases through the state's attorney's office, through even the public defender's office every day. So I don't know that they had really given it that much thought, unfortunately. And this case was charged under Kim Fox. And when we started really making a lot of noise, it was under Eileen O'Neill Burke's state's attorney's office. So, I mean, we really, once we started making noise, I think they started to actually taking a closer look at it. And eventually they gave us a second degree offer, which we rejected.
And the second degree offer would have carried how much jail time?
They offered her second degree murder, but 24 months probation, so no jail time.
Oh, okay.
Initially it was 4 years probation that they had offered. But I think it's really important to point out that, at any given time in the United States, as much as 25% of the prison and jail population is comprised of people there for the alleged violation of probation and parole. Mm-hmm. So really, it's a pathway to prison.
You know what? When we come back, Perry, I know you got some questions. 773-591-1690. We're going to take your calls and more, and we're going to have a discussion. We'll be right back.
More coming up from Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
It's WVON, and the race for mayor of Chicago is on. That's why we're bringing you the important conversations. Hi, I'm Matt McGill, and on Wednesday, August 26th, WVON joins NBC Chicago and Telemundo for an exclusive conversation with Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. NBC Chicago political reporter Marianne Ahern and me, your boy Maticus, will sit down with the mayor for a candid conversation about the issues shaping Chicago and the future of our city. Watch on Wednesday, August 26th at 4 p.m. on NBC5 Chicago, and listen and watch across the WVON and our digital streaming platform, Fon TV. It's Maddie, Marianne Ahern, and Mayor Brandon Johnson. Wow, we're WVON, where Chicago comes to talk.
What happens when WVON's strongest voices stop talking to you and start challenging each other? Find out this Thursday afternoon during a special WVON host roundtable featuring Rufus Williams, Cleopatra Draper, Matt McGill, LaDonna Ray, and Ken Duncan. These aren't headlines. These are issues affecting your family, your neighborhood, your paycheck, your vote, and your future. Expect fierce conversation about crime and safety, politics and power, education, the economy, City Hall, Springfield, Washington, and the decisions shaping Black Chicago. There will be agreement and there will be disagreement. There will be tough questions, uncomfortable truths, and opinions that may surprise you. Because at WVON, we don't run from the conversation. We run straight into it. 5 respected hosts, 1 table, 0 holding back. Don't miss this special WVON host roundtable Thursday afternoon, only on WVON 1690 AM, the Talk of Chicago.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
It's Rufus Williams. Every weekday morning from 7 to 9, I break down what's really going on, politics, power, and the people shaping our community. Think of it like your morning newspaper, headlines, context, and what it actually means. So you can take it in, sit with it, and move smarter through your day. If you're part of the Root Crew, you already know. And if you're watching on Facebook Live, the comments are a whole other show. Family reunion in real time. Listen live or on the WVON app, or join us on Facebook Live. It's the Rufus Williams Show, weekdays 7 to 9, right here on 1690 WVON.
Tune in every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. for Speak On It with Dr. Kofi Malik. You've seen him on cable TV. Now hear his spirited conversation on the Talk of Chicago. The question at hand is raising voices of the Negro. That plain and simple. Tune in every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. for Speak On It with Dr. Kofi Malik on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Back to Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
That's what I feel now. Let's move your hips from the middle from side to side. Sit yourself down in your car and take a ride. And while you're moving around,
That is feeling some kind of way today, Perry. I'm like ready to break out the hot pants. A little Aretha here. We are having a great conversation with Holly Krieg of Moms United Against Violence and Incarceration, and Sierra Bartlett. She's a mitigation specialist at the law office of the Cook County Public Defender. You know, that second-degree murder charge would have some far more severe implications, even if it was just 2 years of probation, than just the involuntary manslaughter. What's the difference between the two charges?
Well,
Yeah,
she still
so I
has
think
a felony, doesn't she?
She will have a felony, but there are some additional things that would happen.
Yeah,
Please tell
so our biggest concern with the second-degree murder charge was that she would have to register as a violent offender.
Right.
Oh,
And
wow.
registering as a violent offender, I mean, it's something you can look up on a public database. It's really easy to go check, and it is no small thing. So that was going to limit, jobs or even, volunteering.
I didn't know there was such thing for violent offenders.
Yes. So
I didn't know there was a list.
Yeah.
There's a violent offender registry and also
I had
for
no
violence.
idea.
Because we only hear about the sexual offender.
Right.
Yeah.
I had no
Mhm.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that she's trying to raise a child. So that
Right,
would,
a 4-year-old.
which is the one she was trying to protect on that
Yeah.
day. So how did you all finally get it to involuntary manslaughter, and why didn't you just go for the trial? Did you not feel like her chances were good if she went to trial with this?
So the choice was ultimately Keshia's. I mean, it always is, as public defenders, our office is to give our clients the best advice, but the choice is always hers and always was. We didn't get the involuntary manslaughter offer until shortly before trial, but the involuntary manslaughter charge kept her off that violent offender registry. So it's still a felony, but it kept her from registering.
Holly, let me ask you this, because you see this probably far more than we do. We report on it, but you see it a lot. Did she ever say why she didn't leave this man? And I'm not accusing her, I promise you. But did she ever say, after calling the police 50 times, and I'm thinking this is what the prosecutor would have said, probably mutual combat, etc. What was going on with her in this case?
Right. Well, right. So first of all, the home was hers. right? It was where she lived. She actually never invited him to live with her. He basically moved in.
He just took
and moved
over.
a family member of his in, right? And because she had a housing subsidy, it wasn't like she could just pick up and leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the lack of affordable, available housing is a huge barrier for so many folks, right? You know, and there are other elements too to consider, like, you know, coercive control, right? A person is sort of broken over time by their abuser, but also a history of violence that they may have experienced since childhood that makes them more vulnerable to abuse. And it normalizes, and I know this from my own experience, it normalizes gender-based violence in a way that it becomes hard to imagine a world without that kind of abuse.
And it puts the onus on the victim. Instead of, why is he acting like this? Why is he allowed to continue to act like this? Why was she in a position like that?
Exactly. Why aren't we asking, why didn't he stop abusing her? Why didn't he leave? It wasn't his home anyway, right? Like, you know, and also, you know, we have to remember that this kind of abuse tends to escalate during pregnancy. It's an issue of control often for the abuser. You know, women are more likely to be killed by their abuser while pregnant than other times. Actually, pregnancy and the postpartum period are the most dangerous times. Also, regardless of pregnancy, separation violence is a term that refers to that period of time when a person is starting to break from their abuser's control, starting to make plans to leave. And if that becomes apparent to their abuser, that becomes an incredibly dangerous time for the victim.
That is just, I'm just, at this point, I just can't see why they kept pursuing second-degree murder charges. I would love to understand. Right? And then how many people are sitting in prison without this? But because here's the thing, when you're on
which brought me to a question. I had a question about this because, you know, I don't know if you guys were familiar with Nicole Gonzalez Van Cleve's book, Crook County, Racism and Justice in America's Largest Criminal Court. Wasn't received very well by people that work over there at the Layton courts, but it was very eye-opening. How did it get to this point, to the point where this woman was charged, or one was charged with first-degree murder, with the history of police reports, probably photos, whatever you guys had, and the fact that you're dealing with the largest American justice court system in the country that is overwhelmed? It must be difficult. I mean, enough if you're able to afford an attorney, but I mean, you do a yeoman's job with the little resources that you have and the amount of cases. That's the question a lot of people are asking. How did she get first-degree murder charges in the first place?
Right.
Whether it be under Kim Foxx or Burke, it didn't matter.
Right. It happens.
There's something wrong with the system.
Well, the system is operating as it's designed, right? Like it is designed as a white supremacist, classist, patriarchal institution, right? So, I mean, these kinds of cases have been happening from the beginning. And, you know, in many ways, the freedom campaign that we built around Keshia and the noise we made, which is the only reason we were able to get them to come down from involuntary to our demand was dismissal. But that is a legacy that comes more recently from the Free Marissa Alexander campaign, right, which had a huge kind of organizing base in Chicago, though it was a Florida-based case. Before that, you know, really the legacy of the Free Joanne Little case. I mean, this goes back, right? And so there's a lot that we were able to draw from because of people like Miriam Kaba and Dr. Beth Ritchie, and, you know, we've learned a lot. But the state has learned something too. It's learned that it can keep charging these cases and send people to prison. You know, Logan is full of people right now who've got cases like this,
just like this.
Yeah. And so the other thing that we're demanding, right, is that not only the state's attorney's office stop charging these cases, but Governor Pritzker signed the mountain of clemency petitions he has on his desk right now. And, you know, Sierra and I have been talking too about the demand for him to pardon Keshia. Because
And this is the time. It's an election year. This is the time to get something like that done. 100%. 773-591-1690. You know, when we come back from the break, I just want to just briefly discuss what does she have to look forward to now? Because I know we got an opportunity to hear from her. We got an opportunity to hear that she wants to raise her daughter in peace. She still has this felony. How will she and how has she begun to rebuild her life? We're going to take a break for news, traffic, and weather, and we'll be right back.
Good afternoon, Chicago. I'm Logan Page, and here are your news headlines. Karen Attia ordered back to Washington Post. United Airlines adds 10 new destinations. Trump's beef import plan angers ranchers, and Williams sisters get wildcard into U.S. Open doubles. National news from the Black Information Network is up next on Chicago's only urban talk radio station, 1690 AM WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
I'm Mike Stevens on your home for Black News First, the Black Information Network. Here's your top headlines this hour. Preparations are being made to observe Hurricane Katrina's 21st anniversary, in which many Black people died and were displaced. A new poll shows Democrats are nearly twice as likely as Republicans to say race relations in the country have gotten worse in the last decade. And Target says it has stopped selling a Halloween costume that was called offensive to Black people. Well, a Black Florida woman is being called a hero by police and the woman she helped.
I was like, let me just mind my business because I'm going to keep going. So I kept going. That's when the voice came to me, like, turn around. I'm like, no, I'm not going to turn around. They ain't got nothing to do with me.
But 33-year-old Simone did turn her car around after she saw a couple arguing on the side of the road one night, and she's now glad she did. This is why she did it and what happened next.
I think it was the Lord, to be honest. It was like, turn around, like, she needs you. And within that split second, he had her on the ground, choking her. So as I'm busting the I'm like, hey, let her go. Turn her loose. So he let her go. She got up. She ran to me crying, Frenchy, like, he's trying to kill me, gasping for air.
Simone called police and they arrested the suspect, who had spent 17 years in prison, was on probation, and had a knife on him. The victim has choke marks around her neck, but she is alive and thankful for Simone, who saw something and said something. A Black South Florida law enforcement officer finds himself on the other side of the law. 27-year-old Deputy Isaiah Williams has been charged with domestic battery, and he appeared before a judge on Tuesday. He's accused of simple battery, domestic battery by strangulation, and tampering with evidence. During his court appearance, a judge set Williams' bond at $70,000, and he has to give up his weapon. Well, it's not clear how many Black people this directly impacts, but because renters are often Black, there may be many, especially in the largely Black Houston area. A federal judge has given initial approval to settlements worth nearly $360 million for a lawsuit accusing dozens of various property management companies of jacking up rental prices nationwide. The lawsuit accuses the property management companies of conspiring to fix and inflate rental prices across the country and exchanging competitively sensitive pricing and leasing information, violating federal and state antitrust laws. The settling defendants deny any wrongdoing. And the Free Urban Film Festival is coming back to Miami. Black filmmaker Shanna Johnson spoke to NBC Miami Television.
Urban Film Festival allows us indie filmmakers to show our films in the most authentic way. And I think, like, when it comes to mainstream media, a lot of stuff gets watered down, so to speak. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity of the Urban Film Festival for allowing a space for films like ours, films that deserve to be seen by audiences who need them.
The Urban Film Festival is a free 3-day event taking place Labor Day weekend in the historic Black community of Overtown and in downtown Miami. I'm Mike Stevens on your home for Black News First, the Black Information Network.
It's a thoughtful Thursday on the Cleopatra Show, and I'm pouring some piping hot tea
with Reverend Jamal Bryant for a conversation you don't want to miss. We went from putting a target on target to Ocean Springs, Mississippi, in remembrance of Nolan Wells, to the fight for justice with Reverend Al Sharpton this Friday. March on Washington 2026, defend the vote. There, we are commemorating the 63rd anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King's historic March on Washington, August 28th of 1963. What does the legacy of that historic movement mean for the fight that's happening today? The issues are serious and the conversation will be powerful. The Cleopatra Show, Thursday at 9 a.m. You don't want to be late for class. It's headline news only you can use from your favorite millennial.
Every step you take could save a life. Join the Out of the Darkness Chicagoland Walk, presented by Happiness Project, on Saturday, October 3rd at Montrose Harbor. This isn't just a walk, it's a movement, a day to come together, to heal, to bring hope to those who need it most. Your presence matters. Your voice matters. Proceeds support the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, fueling critical programs that save lives. Take action today. Sign up now at chicagowalk.org. That's chicagowalk.org. Let's turn awareness into action. Together, we can bring suicide out of the darkness and into the light.
I'm your Magnolia Blues man, Sir Henry Cheatham, inviting you to join us on WVON 1690 for some real American music and culture. Here on Classic Blues and R&B. Check us out Saturday, 11 p.m. until 2 a.m. on WVON, Classic Blues and R&B.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Take me to New York, I love to be really want to come pick you. You'll be my American boy. He said, hey sister, it's really, really nice to meet ya. I just met this 5'7" guy who's just my type. Like the way he's speaking, his confidence is peaking. Don't like his baggy jeans, but I like what's underneath it. The no into MIA.
You are listening to the Matt McGill Show here on WVON 1690 AM, the Talk of Chicago. I am Kimberly Egonmwan, and along with Perry Small, we are filling in for Matt. Matt has got a huge event coming up that's going to be broadcast live today beginning at 4 o'clock. This is a conversation you do not want to miss as a Chicagoan. NBC Chicago, WVON, and Telemundo come together for a special conversation with Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. It's hosted by NBC Chicago political reporter Marianne Ahern and our very own Maddie Matticus McGill, WVON's own. The mayor will take questions and address the issues that matter most to Chicagoans. And you can watch today at 4 p.m. on NBC5 Chicago and listen and watch on WVON. So you want to stay tuned in. And also our digital streaming platform, Vine TV. There's no excuse not to catch it. WVON is letting you hear from the mayor. So we really appreciate this. I'm sure they'll be talking about a lot of things that impact our community. And we have been talking about something that impacts our community. A woman literally had to fight to maintain her life, to keep her life, to stay out of jail. For being abused. Really, that's what it comes down to. When she has spoken before, I was reading an article from the 19th, but when she has spoken, she's told people, you know, she wants to raise her daughter. She wants to raise her daughter in peace. She does not have that additional threat anymore. What is she doing to rebuild her life? And on the line with us, we have been speaking with Holly Krieg of Moms United Against Violence and Incarceration, as well as Sierra Bartlett, who is a mitigation specialist in the law office of the Cook County Public Defender. I don't know which of you all want to take that question, but what is she doing to rebuild her life?
Sure. So right now, I think she's just taking a much needed breather, right? This has been, the weight of the criminal justice system has been hanging over her for almost 4 years. And I think, you know, I checked in with her yesterday, see how she was feeling. And I think it really is just taking a minute to just reset. This is all finished now. And I think she is looking for two things. She's trying to figure out job-wise what she wants to do. You know, she was accepted into a BNA program through Chicago City Colleges, but because of the background, she couldn't pass that. And with the involuntary manslaughter charge, that disqualifies her from working in healthcare. So I think she's looking now to use her story and her experiences to support other victims, other women who are going through this, and figuring out what that looks like. And also being a mom. Her and I have daughters that are similar ages. So, you know, we're still kind of fresh into motherhood. Yeah. So figuring that out, supporting her daughter. She's also taking care of her mother, who's having some health challenges.
Just a lot on her.
And she's hoping to, you know, buy a car, and hopefully that helps her with the job search and go from there.
And to that end, we are doing some fundraising to support Keshia. We set up a GoFundMe, and I don't know if you can link it on the show, but that would be wonderful. There's a bit.ly link, bit.ly, free Keshia Golden. And so far we've raised, I'm going to look at the fundraiser right now to see where we're at. We're at $26,989.
Wow. Okay. And that should definitely help her. People are thinking, those who are against her, you know, not having the full charges, that probation, that's a cakewalk. That is not a cakewalk. I mean, anything, you can violate that by doing anything that is, I don't know the exact what the stipulations are with her probation.
Yeah. So I think, you know, like you said, probation is not easy, but I think she's familiar with the system, right? So she had to check in daily with pretrial services from when she was released from the Cook County Jail till, you know, her case finished on Monday. So she was checking in every single day, and she never missed, never violated. So now it's really just, you know, she has to do some community service and, you know, follow all the rules and stipulations. So I think that part she has, you know, shown that, you know, she can do. It's just, you know, making sure that we get to that final real finish line 2 years from now.
That's okay. We're going to go to the phone lines. Mark, you're on VON.
Yes, I got a question for you. It seems that if, you know, you have a paper trail of somebody abusing you continuously, she did the right thing. She called the police. She made a paper trail. How in the heck does this woman get found guilty? After all this abuse with the police coming out, if anything, she lost in this. Because
you're agreeing with me. You're agreeing with me, Paul? How did these charges of first-degree murder come up in the first place when you have a paper trail?
There you go, Perry.
You know, I mean, you have people that can vouch for. I don't understand that.
And listen to this. She's pregnant. Yeah. She's pregnant and knocked down the stairs. Right. This guy is abusive.
Punched in the face.
It's a paper trail. So this woman lost out. I mean, she's not going to jail, but look what she's got over her now. She can't spit on the street. because then they're going to try to take her. You know, that's ridiculous. There should be not one charge on this lady. So therefore, somebody else going to have to come in and get this slate cleaned on her. That's ridiculous.
So I think that
listen to you guys.
Yeah, no, Mark, we
That's why they're
appreciate you.
looking for a pardon.
I mean, and this is the time, isn't it, Perry? We know what people will do during.
I think get that pardon from. I don't see why Pritzker, Governor Pritzker, would have an issue with this. I don't. It's the right thing to do.
Well, you know why politically. You know the other side politically. He'll be on everyone's show for being soft on crime. She killed someone. She all the arguments that I made earlier. You know that it's a touchy. That's a touchy thing.
Her and that Clancy woman that killed 3 of her children.
Right.
Now everybody's on her side. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
That's racism.
That's right. Get the hell out of here. Linda, you're on VON.
Yes. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Mary. I just wanted to say, I know I heard you say something about her housing was subsidized or something like a HUD or something like that. Yeah. Okay. They have us now. They have us signing a part of the statement. We have to recertify our leases. That it says, are you in an abusive relationship? Sign this paper, and we make sure that you are protected under the law to say if that person.
I wouldn't trust that.
Yeah, what does that mean, though? What does that mean, Linda?
I wouldn't trust that.
Yeah, I know that they recently put it into the law, and then we have to sign it.
But if you sign it, what does that mean? What do they do?
Really?
They just said that they're going to protect us under the law if the abusive,
and they can also throw you out of there.
Yep. That's true. And, oh my goodness, that is so true. And I want to thank you for that. Let's go to JT. JT, you're on VON.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Well, what I wanted to say, I mean, I understand she should be free totally. But what about this police officer that has all these CR numbers against him? Even
Vecchio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He even beat his wife.
And that's why he finally got fired.
It took a while, though.
When did he get fired?
They just
like
fired
yesterday?
him this week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They fired him this week.
I just thought.
On the news last night, they say he is not fired yet.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna look it up. But
Did
he's
you
making
read
a
it?
good point. He's making a good point that but what's the difference between him and the one who abused her? He's not a cop, and he got away. The police were calling him for it.
But it's beyond that. It's more than just his domestic abuse. It's the abuse that he did to people up there in black men in Streeterville. His record is, it's not a normal record of complaints for any police officer.
Well, do you remember when Jason
normal.
Van Dyke was on trial for killing Laquan McDonald, and all the people came forward in the court and described their abuse? There was like 20 people who testified. So, I mean, there's just so much to this, and we're not going to be able to solve it today. Holly Krieg and also Sierra Bartlett, we thank you so much. And our absolute best wishes to Keshia
very much.
Jordan.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for the work you do.
Also, there are a number of other cases pending right now. So I know that there are other folks like myself and Sierra who would love to talk more about that. So let's be in contact. There are at least 3 other Black women in Cook County alone charged for the outcomes of acts of self-defense.
I saw those photos, and that is important. We definitely need to get that on here. So we thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, 773-591-69. That was a really good conversation, Perry. It was good.
I was looking at the comments that that are up in the chat.
Yeah.
And you know what the most sensible question was out of all of them? What child would want to wear that Target costume? They're absolutely right. No child is going to want to wear that.
That's not true. That thing is orange.
Your mother puts you in.
Right. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they're not rushing to do it, but when they see orange and black, they have their face covered up. And I told you the key, which is the real seller, is that it glows in the dark. That's what made people even think that someone would do that. They just out here clowning us.
But that's what they used to say about us, that our eyes glowed in the dark. Come on, guys.
It's sad. It's sad.
Crazy.
It's sad. 773-591-69. When we come back, we're going to talk about a 5K run that is returning on Saturday, August 29th. We'll be right back.
More coming up from Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
When it comes to celebrating our Chicagoland communities, Wintrust is here for it. We are proud to support small businesses in our own backyards, like Pies of London, authentic English savory meat pies made with the best ingredients, located at 1071 Rolling Road in Elk Grove Village. Pop-in Plates, kitchen rentals, catering, and classes at 64 Lester Road in Park Forest. And Fusion Beauty Academy, professional training for cosmetology and more, located at 18 Ohio Street in Joliet.
A dark night, a quiet suburb. But for one family, danger lurks just downstairs.
Oh, no, that's just my husband getting a midnight snack.
Guilty. But
We have Xfinity Shield. It has a built-in Wi-Fi feature that detects movement without cameras.
well, what they didn't know is that an even bigger threat lurks online. A hacker.
Actually, Xfinity Cybersecure protects our connected devices too.
Okay, fine. But what they didn't see coming.
Is that these features are included with our Wi-Fi? We did. Kind of the whole point.
Well, this one's not getting a sequel.
What if protecting your home and devices could be drama-free? Introducing Xfinity Shield, with Wi-Fi features designed to give you peace of mind. Visit xfinity.com/shield to learn more. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Xfinity Internet and compatible equipment required.
Chicago, you know the song, Say My Name, Survivor, Independent Women, Bills, Bills, Bills. But before the global stages, the awards, and millions of records being sold, there was a vision. And behind that vision was Matthew Knowles, the legendary manager who helped transform a group of young women from Houston into one of the most successful female groups of all time. Now, Matthew Knowles takes you inside the extraordinary journey, delivering a fusion of storytelling and classical music for a musical experience you don't want to miss. This classical funk performance is taking place Saturday, August 29th at the Congress Hotel. For Destiny's Child, iconic and reimagined, narrated by the visionary himself, Matthew Knowles, and backed by a live 5-piece string ensemble. Hear the unmistakable harmonies, empowering lyrics, and legendary hits in an entirely new way, while discovering the story behind the music. Upgrade to VIP premium seating and exclusive meet and greet with Matthew Knowles. VIP packages are limited. Say their name, hear their story, and enjoy the classical funk music experience narrated by Matthew Knowles.
I was having a medical procedure, and I wanted to ensure my kids would get my home should something happen to me. I called attorney Ted London. He provided the land, trust, and power of attorney. Now my kids would not have to go through the probate process.
After the death of my husband, I had to get my affairs in order. I called attorney Ted London. Now my family and home will not have to go through the probate process.
773-721-3333.
Back to Kimberly Egonmwan on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
That was my favorite Michael Jackson song. Great choice. You're listening to WVON. I'm on with Perry Small, and there is an event that is coming up that is spearheaded by a woman that I know very well. It is called the Beyond a Mammogram Hyde Park 5K, which is returning on Saturday, August 29th at 63rd Street and Jackson Park near the Pavilion. Now, the check-in begins at 7 a.m. with the race starting at 8 a.m. I am joined by a woman who has spearheaded this for years. She founded Beyond a Mammogram, and she is also a breast cancer survivor. Her family is doing great things, not just in the city of Chicago now. They are out in South Holland. They are doing wonderful things as well out there. She is going to share her story, and she is going to tell us why early detection and regular mammograms are so important. We welcome Antizar Freeland. She's the organizer of this Hyde Park 5K run for the Beyond a Mammogram Early Detection Initiative. We welcome you to the show, Antizar. How are you?
Oh, I'm so blessed. Thank you, Kimberly. You are so kind, and I feel so humble with that introduction. So I'll be as quick as I can. I know you all have a full schedule. So thank you for having me on. Beyond the Mammogram was started about 14 years ago.
Yes.
At my last chemotherapy session for breast cancer. So, of course, as you can imagine, a diagnosis of breast cancer was very frightening.
Yeah.
I was married. I had 3 young children, and I didn't know what was going to happen. So, thankfully, I did receive treatment, and we were able to weather the storm. So that experience had my husband and I feeling like we wanted to help more people to survive that would face similar challenges. So we knew that getting the word out about regular mammograms was key, but especially, and I want to put a great emphasis on knowing your family history. That's critical. So Beyond the Mammogram the name Beyond the Mammogram refers to knowing if you need more than a mammogram screen.
Yeah.
Why is that important? The American Cancer Society says that if you have a family medical history of breast cancer, you may need more than a mammogram. And also, if you have dense breast tissue, you may need more than a mammogram. So that just is our Beyond the Mammogram Hyde Park 5K was created for that call to action, to get women out to get their mammograms and to really be thinking about knowing the family medical history.
I'm going to sing your praises on this because you may believe this. People come up to me today from the last time you and I were on air together when Beyond a Mammogram was actually working with UIC. What is it called? Mile Square? I can't remember what it's called, but offering free mammograms. And women recently just said, I remember when you were on air, and that's how I got the mammogram I needed. So you are definitely doing the work.
Oh, thank you so much. And we had a great time with that. You were involved with that.
Yes.
So UI Health Mouse, where they used to have mammogram parties, and we had a pretty nice one before COVID hit. And of course, that changed a lot of logistics of things. Something I want to, and definitely we need to do more of that. Something I want to just kind of mention. So something personal that happened with me with the experience was, because I had a family history, you may already know this, of breast cancer. Mm-hmm. I should have been getting my screens since my early 30s. Unfortunately, I wasn't until almost 40 years old. It was when I was about that age when I got my first mammogram, and unfortunately, a lump had already developed. So truly, it's a complicated story, but just to make it short and sweet, the takeaway for me was that it was one of my best friends that convinced me to investigate that suspicious lump because medical folks were missing it. And it was my best friend who said, you got to get that checked out and you need more than a mammogram. So, girl, I just want to emphasize this as we close. Girlfriend conversation matters. It matters. Family conversations matter. When we talk to each other, we help each other really kind of, figure things out. And if there are health things going on together, we can help change each other's health outcomes. So I just want to remind everybody, we have our 13th annual Beyond the Mammogram Hyde Park 5K. It will be held this Saturday. As Tim, as you said, early registration starts at 7 a.m. At 6300 South Lakeshore Drive, which is the Beach Pavilion. We're going to be starting from the beach, you guys, right there at the pavilion. It's a great way to exercise. We know exercise is important to health, any kind of health, right? So we want everyone to come out and be a part of this event. To date, we've given over $50,000 to research and wellness organizations in the community. So we want to be coming together. We want to be moving as a community, move out on our health, and please donate. You guys can go to www.hydepark5k.org. That's www.hydepark5k. Register, donate, come out and volunteer. And we thank you. Thank you so much,
And
Kim.
the donation part is very important because that's how you are helping people. So we want to definitely make sure you all check out that website, go out, support this event. And Antisar, we're proud of you. We thank you so much for everything that you're doing in the commercial in the community.
Thank you, Kim. It's such a pleasure. And again, I'm so humbled. It's so awesome to talk to you again. And I wish you well.
Thank you so much. Guys, when we come back, we will be joined by our Wednesday conversation with none other than tax expert Mike Fideli. We'll be right back after this break for news, traffic, and weather.
Good afternoon, Chicago. I'm Logan Page, and here's what's happening in your local and national news. An attributor has ordered Karen Attia to be reinstated by the Washington Post with back pay after ruling that her 2025 firing over social media posts did not have sufficient cause. Attia came on with WVON's guest host, Kimberly Egonmwan, and Barry Smalls to discuss the controversy surrounding her firing, the arbitration victory, and what comes next.
They claim that I disparaged white men in talking
That's
about
First Amendment. You work for the Washington Post.
It was, when I read it, it was extreme and cruel. They claim that, again, I was harming the Washington Post journalistic integrity. They said that I was putting my colleagues in danger by posting, and they only cited those two posts. So they said that my offense was refusing to strip my clothes and smear ashes on my face in performative mourning for a white man who espoused hatred and violence is not the same as wishing violence upon the man. Like, that's just fact.
That's right.
The case has renewed debate over free speech, journalistic independence, and the treatment of journalists of color in newsrooms. In other news, President Trump's decision to allow up to 300,000 metric tons of foreign ground beef into the U.S. tariff-free for 90 days is drawing criticism from American ranchers. U.S. Cattlemen's Association President Justin Tupper says the move is unlikely to lower grocery store beef prices and could make it harder for ranchers to rebuild their herds. The plan is intended to provide short-term relief for consumers as beef prices remain near record highs. In other news, Serena Williams and Venus Williams will team up again on the tennis court. The sisters were added to the U.S. Open field in women's doubles today as a wildcard entry after playing together last week at the Cincinnati Open. This will be the Williams sisters' first joint appearance as the U.S. Open in 4 years as they seek a 14th Grand Slam doubles title and third crown in Queens. And United Airlines is adding 10 new destinations next year. That's the largest international expansion in the company's nearly century-long history. It will introduce nonstop flights to various cities in Japan, France, Luxembourg, France, Spain, Portugal, Slovenia, and Italy. Aside from the cities introduced in Italy, no other U.S. airline flies directly to any of the other cities on the list. The new flights will begin operating in spring 2027. I'm Logan Page, and that's happening in your news now on WVON 1690 AM.
Big news, Chicago! Kodo Hibachi just got bigger. Your favorite Black-owned hibachi spot now has 2 Southside locations. Fresh hibachi bowls, garlic butter favorites, and that unforgettable Kodo flavor. Visit 258 West 31st Street or our new Morgan Park location, 11710 South Marshfield Avenue. Open Tuesday through Sunday. 2 locations, 1 great flavor. Kodo Hibachi, where flavor meets culture.
Chicago, it's game time. This Saturday, August 29th, the South Side takes the field. The Chicago State Cougars kick off their historic inaugural season against the Roosevelt Lakers. Brick by brick, drive by drive, Cougar Nation is ready to shock the world. Catch every hit, every play, every touchdown live on Vaughn TV. Saturday at noon. Watch on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, the WVON app, or at Vaughn.tv. Cougar Nation, rise up.
Lung cancer is common among East Asian descendants, especially females.
We understand our patients have different backgrounds and circumstances, which is why we promote nearly 1,000 health screenings each year, like the CLUES program, which screens high-risk, often uninsured patients for cancer.
If it wasn't for the CLUES program at Northwestern Medicine, we wouldn't know my mom had lung cancer.
Because we treat our community the same way we treat our patients, better.
In Chicago, there's always something going on, and its residents deserve answers, so we're bringing an important conversation directly to you. On Wednesday, August 26th, WVON joins NBC Chicago and Telemundo for an exclusive conversation with Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, NBC Chicago political reporter Marianne Ahern, and yours truly, WVON's Matt McGill, will sit down with the mayor for a candid conversation about the issues shaping Chicago and the future of our city. Watch on Wednesday, August 26th at 4 p.m. on NBC Chicago, and you can listen right here on WVON and catch it on our digital streaming platform, Vaughn TV. It's me, Matt McGill, Marianne Ahern, and Mayor Brandon Johnson. We're WVON, where Chicago comes to talk.
What happens when WVON's strongest voices stop talking to you and start challenging each other? Find out this Thursday afternoon during a special WVON host roundtable featuring Rufus Williams, Cleopatra Draper, Matt McGill, LaDonna Ray, and Ken Duncan. These aren't headlines. These are issues affecting your family, your neighborhood, your paycheck, your vote, and your future. Expect fierce conversation about crime and safety, politics and power, education, the economy, City Hall, Springfield, Washington, and the decisions shaping Black Chicago. There will be agreement and there will be disagreement. There will be tough questions, uncomfortable truths, and opinions that may surprise you. Because at WVON, we don't run from the conversation. We run straight into it. 5 respected hosts, 1 table, 0 holding back. Don't miss this special WVON host roundtable Thursday afternoon, only on WVON 1690 AM, The Talk of Chicago.
Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter.
We're up to way over 400 million here. Yeah, giving money back. How about that? People in Bellwood got 10 million, Broadview 6 million, Burnham 3 million, South Holland 17 million. The city of Chicago's up to $190 million that we have given back to African Americans. Who does that? Nobody does that but WVON.
Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter, Monday mornings at 11:30 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. The following is paid programming. The views are not necessarily those of this station. It's time for the 2:30 Focus with Mike Fideli, powered by Fideli and Associates.
Sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside,
And we are back here on WVON. Perry Small, I know you have to dash off. I want to thank you so much for co-hosting, for filling in with me for Matt today. So I really appreciate
All right.
you.
And thank you. And let me just say, Mike Fideli is the best at what he does. I used him years ago, hadn't filed my taxes for years, worked every dime. Go Fideli.
He kept you out of the hooskow.
Thank you, Perry. I appreciate that.
Out the pokey.
He kept me out the pokey.
That is a great what would you call it? Commercial almost. Testimonial. Thank you so much, Perry. Mike, it's been years. It has been years since I've gotten an opportunity to speak with you. We are so excited to have you and Fideli Associates here on the Matt McGill Show. And we want to make sure we get that phone number out, 708-991-2440. We already got a testimonial from Perry Small about how great you are at what you do. How are you doing today?
Doing great. I'm doing great. I could just pretty much shut the program down now with that testimonial, huh?
Pretty much, right? She did your work for you.
Yeah.
But we don't want that because we know that you have got so many stories and topics that are important to people as they try to navigate what's going on with taxes. There is not a time that I am not looking at a story. I took some time last week and watched a story about the Pritzker family and the way in which they set up all of these different trusts. And I'm talking about like before JB even got into it, the way they set up, the way the structure was to really not pay a lot of taxes in some cases. There's just so much to know about the tax code. How do you stay current on all of that so that you can do the best you can for your clients?
It's very difficult. You got to constantly be reading, constantly be keeping up. There's never a time when you can't. You have to always. By the way, you have a continuing professional education every year.
Okay. How many hours do you have, Mike? I got to do 30. How many do you have to do?
150 over a 3-year period.
Over a 3-year period. Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty involved. And I do a lot more than that. But that's the requirement. Yeah.
Wow. So what types of things are we looking at right now at this period of, because the whole year is tax season. I mean, it really is. What are we looking at right now in August, late August of 2026? What should people be thinking about?
What first of all, if they're businesses, the S Corp returns and partnership returns are due September 15th, which is less than 3 weeks from now.
Okay.
So you've got to get all your documents in. You've got to get your bookkeeping in. It's pretty late in the game. You will get a penalty if you don't file. So that's per shareholder. It's around $250 per shareholder per month late. So you want to get all your documents in, and that's the big thing right now. Once we get those in, then we can work on your personal returns.
Okay, so you said that's for S Corp.
Yes, and partnerships. C Corps are due in October when the individual returns are due.
And there's a lot of thought that goes into that. I remember from having the conversations with you, a lot of thought that goes into why you would make which election.
Yeah, I mean, you mean with the S Corp?
Yeah.
Well, an S Corp. The reason you do an S Corp election is on a single member or multi-member LLC is simply this: you want to avoid self-employment taxes, which are 15%. That's the biggest reason. And it's a pass-through entity, so the income or the losses is passed through to your individual return.
Okay.
So that's the biggest reason you want to do it. And we tell people all the time, don't just set up an LLC, which is a single member LLC, which goes on your C Corp. But if you're any kind of consultant or a real estate agent or you have a business, if you don't set up the S Corp, then you're going to pay self-employment taxes. If you set up the S Corp, we can minimize most of those self-employment taxes. So that is the reason people set up the S Corp with a single member or a multi-member LLC.
And that means that the people who will be filing now, they've already done that. They've already set up the S Corp.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. However, if you tried to set it up and you couldn't set it up because your lawyer or whoever or you set it up wrong, we can file what's called a retroactive S election. We can file an election to get it reinstated. So we know how to do that.
Okay, so you really have the expertise on this.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
else? We know it's August, it's September. People should be thinking about even becoming or having their business filed as an S Corp because that needs to be done before the end of the year.
Exactly.
And how much time does that usually take?
Takes around 2 months, 60 days for that to go through.
So it's literally the right time.
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What do people have to have in order to do that?
To file the S election?
Yes.
You just have to have the name of your entity. You have to have your EIN number. You have to have the original documents that you filed with the Secretary of State. You have to know the date you filed. And you have to fill out the form, which is called a 2553.
Okay.
So, it's a form 2553.
When we're talking about people who don't necessarily have a business and they're, for example, trying to navigate filing their taxes, maybe, because, I deal with people who, for example, they've got joint custody with their children, but they're not the primary custodial parent, meaning the child does not live with them. What considerations go into who should file as their child as a dependent?
Oh, boy, that's a good question. What considerations? Well, who take care of the child, first of all? Who actually supports the child?
That's so
Right.
the person who pretty much has the primary
Yes.
care of the child. Okay.
Yeah, yes, that's critical. And then obviously they have to be living with you. So that is critical. They have to live with you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to provide at least half the support for the child.
Got it.
Those are the basic requirements. And then the child can't make over around 14,000. They can't do that.
What does that mean? I'm sorry, say that again.
Well, because if the child has enough income, then the IRS, basically doesn't allow you to take them as a dependent.
So that's the parent who the child lives with.
Mhm.
And you're saying what bars them from that?
Making around 14,000, because if you made 14,000 of W-2 income, you get like your itemized deduction will cover all that. You won't pay any income tax. So, but you also have to provide more than half the support. So that's key.
All right. Okay. So that I'm sure it's me not understanding. You provide the child lives with you.
Yes.
And you provide more than 50% of the support for the child.
Correct.
But you're saying that there is if there's a $14,000 threshold.
Yes. Then you won't be allowed to take the child as a dependent.
That's so interesting. I wonder if people know
Yeah.
that. Because I mean, I've grown up hearing from people who have gotten such large returns, and I've never gotten a large return. And I'm always thinking, man, what am I doing? Why are they getting thousands upon thousands of dollars back? What is going on?
Well, first of all, some people withhold a lot in their W-2. They actually use the IRS as a bank.
Okay.
Believe it or not. So they withhold a lot of money, right? So that's one reason. Another reason is people could have credits coming to them, like education credits or child tax credits. So at the end of the year, we help them to determine, what kind of credits they have coming to them. So that's another reason. There could be various different reasons why people get a big refund at the end of it. But the biggest reason is or they paid in. If you're just a consultant and you're paying quarterly estimates in, then if your income is lower than you thought it would be, then you would get a refund at the end of the year.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So they use it more like a bank.
Yeah. A lot of people do that. They don't want to spend their money. They don't want to spend money. So they use the IRS refund as a bank. Kind of strange, but that's what people do.
Instead of just doing everything you can ahead of time to not pay all of that.
Yep, exactly.
Wow. When we're talking about also the personal taxes, all of that really is going to, you said first, if you're doing escort, et cetera, you want to make sure you take care of that first. And then you can start focusing in on the personal taxes.
Yes, exactly.
When we're looking at the taxes at the federal level and the state level, there's a huge difference. Are there just huge differences in the laws?
Between what?
Federal and state.
Depends on the state, but typically no. The Fed and the state have pretty much the same laws. So you're not going to find, there's differences. There's some differences. Some states don't have any tax at all, but Illinois, of course, does. So, but there's typically no difference. The states usually piggyback the federal statute. So pretty much the answer to that is no. There's very little differences. There's some things, like, for example, in the state of Illinois, you get an education credit for a child that's in kindergarten up through 12th grade. Well, you don't get that at the federal level, right?
Okay.
So there are some differences, but for the most part, no.
But you're bringing up a really good point when we're talking about the taxes, federal level, state level, and that there are states that do not have them. So,
correct.
Mike, we know that, and we hear it all the time, especially in political ads and when people are saying, leave Illinois, come to wherever, Texas, Florida, I don't know, whichever place.
Yeah.
What's the trade-off? in some of those states when you decide you don't want to pay these income taxes anymore?
Well, what's the trade-off? You mean like what?
Why doesn't everybody just move to one of those places?
Well, I don't know. If you want to move to Las Vegas, you can.
Okay.
Florida is another place. So the states, let's talk about the states. Let's see if I could do this from scratch.
Please. You can do it, Mike.
Alaska, you don't pay any state tax. New Hampshire, no state tax. Tennessee, no state tax. Wyoming, no state tax. Florida, no state tax unless you're a C Corp. Talking about individual. No state tax in Texas. No state tax in, I'm missing something. Washington State, no state tax.
Okay.
I think I caught all of them. In South Dakota, no state tax.
South Dakota.
Yep.
So,
if you want to live in any of those, actually, you don't need to live in all those states to actually domicile yourself in a tax in that state if you have a business. You don't need to necessarily.
If you have a business, then that covers your personal tax, though? You're saying?
If you have an S Corp, yes.
Got it.
If you have an S Corp, yes, it covers your personal tax.
Okay.
If you have an S Corp.
But what I've always heard is that in a lot of those states, what you don't pay for in, say, income tax, and maybe it's not income tax, maybe it's the high rate of property taxes. I'm not sure what it is, but I've always heard that what you don't pay for that, their sales taxes are through the roof. Is that true?
Exactly. So let's take Florida, for example. First of all, their real estate taxes are through the roof.
Okay.
All right.
What are we talking as far as real estate? What are we?
I mean, they're just huge. They're high compared to other states.
Okay.
Based upon property values.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Also, you're paying. There's two different tolls you pay in Florida. So when you go through a toll booth, there's two different ones you pay.
Wow.
You follow me? You're paying huge tolls. So they're getting you, in different ways. You know what I mean?
So you can be there, but you literally are going to be paying an extra amount for if you decide to leave your house to do anything. And if you decide to be in your house, because you just said the real estate taxes, you are going to, they're going to get that money, Mike. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yes, they are.
I think that's something people need to know. Yeah.
So so you said trade-offs, and that's a great point. The trade-off is you're going to pay heavy taxes in real estate. You're going to pay heavy taxes in sales taxes. You're going to pay heavy taxes in other ways. That's the bottom line.
So with the real estate, let's say I go and I just decide I want to rent. The person who owns is going to pass that off to me in some way, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they'll pass it off to you. Correct.
Okay.
And then you have also in Florida, if you want to go to Florida, you have there's a lot of taxes for hotel taxes. So if you own a business, the hotel taxes are just brutal to own a business. And also if you own a yacht, there's brutal yacht taxes. So I'm saying that all to say, it's not an individual tax, but they're business taxes, so that the state of Florida gets their money in some way. But, Illinois is one of, the bottom line is Illinois is a tough state too. Sales taxes are ridiculous.
They are.
10.5%.
They are.
Have an income tax of 5%. The sales taxes is really bad. And real estate tax, of course. The last year in Cook County, most of the Cook County real estate taxes went up anywhere from 10 to 25%.
I've got people calling me right now because they need to appeal their taxes because they went up so high so fast.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are trying to move out of, especially since the Bears are coming to Hammond, Indiana, which, by the way, I have a house in Chicago Heights and Hammond, Indiana.
Yeah, but are they really coming to Hammond, Indiana? I mean,
I think it's a done deal.
I mean, did the Bears even think about the fact everything that just happened with NIPSCO and, all the electricity? They couldn't even get the electricity turned on for weeks. I'm just saying that's just one fine point. Are you sure they're coming to Indiana?
I think it's a done deal as far as I can tell. I think it's a done deal,
We'll see. We will see.
I think so.
But there are a lot of people who, and that whole thing with NIPSCO. I know this is not a tax thing, but it kind of could be. I mean, I don't know what they pay to, as far as taxes, to make sure regulation happens. People are saying that they had polls up. This guy was like, he had to be 65, 70 years old. And he said the polls were as old as him. There would have been no work done on anything like that. And I know it takes not just private money, but also taxpayer money to make sure things are regulated. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
But I still know people who are hand over fist moving to Indiana. Even with that they think that was just a fluke. This has been a crazy weather year. So.
I mean, people are definitely moving to Indiana. I mean, the real estate taxes, like on average, look, I have a client, as an example, I have a client in Cal City, which is not Country Club Hills, right? It's just Cal City.
Yeah.
He's paying on a property that you could sell for around $300,000. He's paying $21,000 a year on his taxes.
Wow.
$21,000.
10%.
A similar property in Crown Point,
yeah,
you're paying like $4. 5 maybe. It's crazy.
It is, and you probably have a decent school system there. If you're trying to put children through education, I mean, oh my goodness, that's a thought. Well, Illinois needs to account for what's going on. They really do, with the election year coming up. But you know what? I guess what other tips can people really utilize right now? We know we need to get the S-Corps, all of the financials in for that. Start thinking about whether or not you want to create an S-Corps, and even check to see if you can get a retroactive S-Corps declaration. Correct. What else do they need to be thinking about?
Your individual returns, if you're on extension, are due October 15th. Let me just throw this in, since we were talking about real estate taxes. Make sure you have your senior exemption. Make sure you have your individual exemption. If you own the property, and you can't own two properties.
You got to have
them on both.
That's right.
You can only have one. And I would check the Cook County website. There's a number of different kinds of exemptions that you can have. One of them is actually a repair capital improvement exemption. Even though it's increasing the value of your property, if you're over 65, you get an additional exemption. So I would encourage everybody to go to this website or show up at the recorder of deeds and at the real estate assessment office and find out what exemptions are available to you.
Yeah. And also it looks like just from talking with the assessor in the past, talking with also Maria Pappas in the past, it looks like a lot of people do not take advantage of appealing. Probably not. Yeah, and that's unfortunate. They probably feel like, how am I going to do this? I'm not going to be able to, be able to talk this language. I think that for the Hyde Park and certain areas, you need to really appeal and see how you can appeal before you even have to go before the appeal board. And that's the thing. And I think that window is open right now. So, because there has to be an argument for the taxes to go up like that. They must have been held so artificially low, or they've increased different community taxes so high for the stories that I'm hearing when people are calling me like, I need help. It has to be some issue there.
Yep. 1,000%.
And before an election year. You know what I'm saying? Like usually they wait until it's time to vote.
Absolutely.
I'm just being honest, but then again, the assessor, he's on his way out. So there's going to be a new assessor. All these things are in play. I'm so glad that I have you to talk with them with them, Mike.
Yeah. So I would just encourage everybody, go to the Cook County assessor's office and just find out what's available to you.
Yeah.
And make sure that, and then if you feel that the property value is not reasonable, challenge it and, make an appeal.
Well, I think that is really, really great advice. We want to make sure that when you decide to file taxes, to get advice, you make Fidelity and Associates your first stop. They are located at 18110 Dixie Highway, number 1 South in Homewood, Illinois. The zip code there is 60430. The phone number there is 708-991-2440. They're even open right now. They don't close until 5:30. And you see, Mike knows if he has to take over 100 I can't even imagine taking 100 continuing education classes. If he has to do all of that, he knows what he's talking about. We thank you so much, Mike, for being on WVON for all these years.
You're welcome, and I thank all the listeners who are our faithful clients, and I'm so happy I've been able to help so many of you, and hope it continues.
It's just good to talk to you, Mike. Thank you again.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hey guys, it's been a blast. I had a great time filling in for Matt. We want to make sure that you all are listening at 4:00 here. It's important that you listen here. Listen here, okay? Because you're going to get the same experience that you would if you were to tune in on television. We want you to tune in there too, but listen here to get all the news that you need from the mayor of Chicago. And with that, I am signing off. Thank you again to everyone, to Melody Span Cooper for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, Perry Small, for being my co-host. And thank you, Matt, for letting me fill in for you. Guys, I'm not sure if the afternoon show is they're going to do 1 hour. So you're going to be hearing LaDonna Ray and Ken Duncan in just a couple of minutes. And it has been a blast. Have a great afternoon.
Good afternoon, Summertime Shy. I'm Logan Page, and here are your news headlines. Target boycott continues despite sales increase. NFLPA responds to new CTE study. And Uber adds live video for teen rights. National news from the Black Information Network is up next on Chicago's only urban talk radio station, 1690 AM WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.